Chapter 913. Bai Yin had already regained his senses. Even though the woman was very beautiful, Bai Yin was still suppressing his anger. Their medicine sect was a powerful force in the martial arts world. Now they were being obstructed from entering a rundown city? Who are you? Why are you interfering with the medicine sect's business? Bai Yin's expression was cold, and his voice was even colder. Everyone please search for the most complete version. The fastest update. The woman in white gently stroked her sleeves, and a breeze blew past. The woman's voice was even clearer than the breeze. I am Wuxia, a disciple of the tranquil sect of the outer martial arts world. Because the outer martial arts world convention is in a month's time, I came out of the mountains to gain experience. Coincidentally, I passed by here and saw that you, as martial artists, attacked ordinary people. Your attacks were even more vicious, and you even wanted to take someone's life. How could I not care about such evil deeds? The woman was very beautiful, very delicate, very intelligent, very perfect, but right now she was heartless. Her heart was free of dust, and she had no worries. She forgot about the past, forgot that she still had a name, Su Ruoro. However, Su Ruoro's nature hadn't changed. No matter if it was Su Ruoro or Wuxia, she was still a beautiful, kind, and pure woman. She couldn't stand evil, and would stand up for injustice. The people from the herbal sect were slightly stunned. They did not expect to meet people from the Serenity Order. The Serenity Order was one of the 5 hegemons of the outer martial arts circle. Their power was not any weaker than the herbal sect. White Cloud was momentarily put in a difficult position. Although Su Ruoro hadn't done much, he could tell from the fact that she had easily blocked White Fifth's attack, that Su Ruoro was very powerful. Just as White Cloud was hesitating, 2 more figures rushed over. Junior Sister Wuxin, are you alright? Why did you suddenly run away? Another beautiful woman wearing a purple gown came over. She was as beautiful as a fairy. Hua Xianyu nervously held onto Su Ruoro's arm with a worried expression. She and Su Ruoro had already become good sisters who could talk about anything. They were closer than real sisters. Senior sister, I'm fine, don't worry about me. I noticed that there was a fight going on here, so I came over to take a look. The medicine sect was bullying those ordinary mortals, and I couldn't stand it anymore, so I stepped in to stop them. Su Ruoro briefly explained what had happened. Hua Xianyu's expression turned cold, and a powerful aura suddenly exploded from her body, shocking the medicine sect's disciples. The medicine sect can be considered as a large sect in the outer martial arts world. If word of this gets out, it would be a slap to the face. I think this matter should end here. You can leave now. There was a man in white standing beside Su Ruoro and Hua Xianyu. He glared at Ao Xiaowan, the genius disciple of Starlight
the underlings
sect.
of
Xiaowan
don't struggle.
Not long ago, they had never met anyone in Hong Kong. Did not expect things to turn out this way.
And
he had underestimated the Hong strength.
A great man from the outer martial arts convention.
He wanted to more than 20 years. There was only one such. He was afraid that the Hong Xiaowan was so angry that his chest was about to explode. The last time one did not extend to Hong Kong for a mission. Was there something wrong with the down by the Hong one's heart? What did you say? The members of the phone were dumbfounded. Ao heard the conversation frantically suddenly admit your mistake. He turned around and looked at these people were dressed in the style of ancient nonsense, and they kept talking about sex and cultivation. The great hero things not ordinary people have been wandering in Jiangsu in the because of his appearance. Wasn't the style little too professional forces? I have to advise you to get out of here. When I have time, when my sword is unsheathed, they would all be best actors and have fun with your born to be pretentious. When your brother saw his words, he was so happy to feel the immense pressure directly in the courtyard's boil. And the others were all handsome. Interchangeable expression changed again and again. Powerful that only Xiaowan had begun to believe Xiaowan was last time that her hair stood on end could stand the pressure. Saying a word, Yin was to mission higher than Feng's face. Xiaowan thought that Xiaowan was not very powerful again this time. No one dared to touch her and was very excited. However, if she was naturally not afraid of death, she had not the contacted Ao Shawan for a long time to fight and kill each other, and was about to land on the tip of one of the 5 hegemons when Qin was casually grabbed. Ao Shawan and power family members, they didn't dare to offend such a powerful woman in each hand. Please forgive me the feeling of hugging. I am willing to follow you and Ao Shawan was very angry. You can do whatever you want. Really likes to meddle in other people's identity. Was not paying attention. Ao Shawan also wanted to martial arts circle, but it was too late. Instead, we will settle this in the initiative to lie and did not let go at all. And hit Qin Fang faster with a shy and charming look. Let go of Shawan regretted it very much because if he had known this would happen, he would have dressed up like a she had only been the other by her brother and Qin Fang waited scared to leave. And Ao Shawan's Qin Fang was not scared. Everyone from the evil hut was scared of Su. Not only were they scared and a huff, but some people even fainted. How dare you take everyone from the phone young lady with the Zao afro? Call someone to bring her to admit that reasonable and kill their powerful. Call 5 more horses. Everyone from the phone's children were sure that there was something wrong in the other's brain to their senses. They even talked about the martial arts circle convention and began to call for help. Truly speaking nonsense when the other girls were frightened by the scene. Are you guys okay? First, they were all flaying glanced at the phone's group members underground. Hong Kong. Then, her voice was calm and clear and twisted her way to everyone in the Hong gang members. Finally, they suspected that Su was also clenched her fist and the others sides of her face. They still saved their lives. As she stood aside expressionlessly, the phone members immediately got up from the ground. Qin Fang swallowed a lot of saliva out of his thinking. Ao Shawan resisted struggling Ao Shawan away a dozen times. This little girl, manager who had always had a maverick to his senses, we can invite you to be our guest about to let Qin Fang offend Ao Shawan, enter Hero City, then be hunted down by the entire Hong complicated, and eventually driven out of Hong Kong, even if they racked their brains. Completely gone off track. However, and gone to an unimaginable extreme. And the others were preparing to go to Devil Beast Mountain to gather figure out, even after pulling at the hair on his bald head. City. Eldest, I appreciate your good intentions, your medicine, but we still have important matters to attend to. Why don't you go back with us first? If fate wills Brother it, Long looked at Ao Shawan City as a guest. He wanted to persuade Ao Shawan to go back. After Su Ruoro lost her memories, if Head Wuchang knew that had become a completely different person by a man, in the past she was timid and Brother Long and the others. Whenever she encountered something, she would stutter. I don't need you to meddle in my affairs. Now her martial arts skills were superb. I love you so much. She exuded the air of a heroine. Ao Shawan her words were concise that she was still lying in Qin Feng's arms. There was a trace of callousness she quickly in her natural back into a cute and helpless little girl, causing people to inadvertently become intoxicated. Manager Gu couldn't stand it anymore. You must come and play when you have time. What the hell was going on? The phone group members were dazed for a moment before they realized that Su Ruoro and the others had already walked far away. Cut. This scene scared everyone. Hurriedly stopped them at this moment and ran to Qin Feng's everyone from the phone group after looking at Ao Shawan with a smile. And the others were hidden experts. Qin Feng aside to talk alone. Were they close to becoming immortals? You're acting that someone dared to cause trouble in Hero City. Why can't you do it today? Where are they? Is it because there are too many onlookers that it affects your performance? Longhair hurriedly rushed over with a large group of guards. Why can't I do it? The Hong White Tiger Hall's Hallmaster Huang Jinghua you didn't act according to what I said. With a large group of Hong Sect disciples. I asked you to teach those gangsters a lesson, big bro, so that it would be realistic. Crazy people at the spa. How can you keep flirting with girls their way into Hero City? This doesn't conform to reality. They were chased away by 3 mysterious people at the spa. The phone group members suddenly realized the situation to Longhair. He shook his head and said, Longhair listened in confusion. I'm afraid that if I didn't know what these lackeys were talking about, me to beat him up. By Qing, Zhaoling Xian, and Lin Bei Bei also came. You have to be ruthless and not hold back. And Hua Yin also otherwise, came. You won't as be long able as to meet the standards I want. They all came one after another. Longhair chuckled as he walked back into the crowd. Lu Wenjing asked Longhair after rushing over. Longhair was still confused. Boss he didn't know what was going on. He will beat you after telling them what the phone group's lackeys had said. Once Qin Feng spoke, and the others' Chairman Gu was so shocked that he almost fell to his knees. Where are the people who caused trouble? Chairman Gu usually said different things to deceive everyone. Lu Wenjing hurriedly asked. He didn't expect Qin Feng to say it out loud. Know where they went. Brother Long one was of the phone group lackeys who was beaten up glared at manager Gu and roared, "Sister-in-law Lu, what the hell are you talking about? The people who were beaten up already ran away." The 3 people who saved us just walked away. Hong Sec's daughter is here today. We can still faintly see anyone who dares to touch her. The women hurriedly looked towards Elder Brother Long wanted to flatter Ao Shawan in public. 3 strangely Elder Brother Long felt that he had done a good job of flattering Ao Shawan. That was getting further and further away. Proud of himself, but they couldn't figure out what was going on. Rushed up and slapped him. Miss, standing among the group of beauties. Brother Long was suddenly had a glint in her eyes. If she keep forcing the silhouette of the girl in the white dress. Listen up, all of
the
you.
silhouette was
Zheng
very
Shuai's
familiar.
words are my words.
However,
no, his words are more powerful than mine
was.
If anyone
was
dares to
clearly
question
too late
Zheng
to chase
Shuai's
after
words
the three
again,
people now,
I will cut him
Lu
into
Wenjing
pieces
asked
and
the
feed
phone
him
group
to the
members
fishes.
to carefully describe what had just
change
happened.
was so fast
After
that
hearing
everyone
the
was
phone
caught
group
off guard.
lackey's recount,
Brother Long
the
covered
women's
his
and
red
long
and
hair's
swollen
expressions
face with his
became
hands.
more and more serious.
He didn't blame Ao
The phone
Shawan
group
for
slackies
slapping
were
him.
mostly ordinary
No one in
people.
Hong Kong dared
Even
to
if they had
resent
heard
Ao
of the
Shawan.
existence of
Brother
martial
Long
artists,
felt wronged
they
because
had
why
never
did
seen
Miss
martial
Zheng Shuai,
artists outside
apart
of the
from his
martial
name,
arts world,
which part of him
However,
was handsome.
the women in
Brother
long
Long
hair had
felt
been
that
with
he was
Qin
100
Feng for a
times
long
more
time,
handsome than Zheng
and they all
Shuai.
knew the
Why
differences
didn't Miss
between
like him?
martial artists in
He.
China.
Miss,
China
you are
was
right.
big.
Although
And there
Brother
were all
Long
kinds
was
of
unhappy
strange
with
things.
Zheng Shuai,
Martial
he still
artists
put on
were
a smile
divided
and
into
said,
the martial
Zheng
artists of the
Shuai,
secular
it's
world,
our honor to be
and
able
the
to
martial
act with a
artists
big shot like
outside
you.
of the martial
You can
arts
slap
world.
us as much as you
Martial
want.
artists in the
We will be
secular
happy
world
if you
were
slap
martial
us.
artists who
Ma
lived in
Xin Xin
flourishing
and the girls
cities.
were speechless.
These people were
What was he
usually no
talking
different
about?
from
Why
ordinary
was
people.
Qin Feng so
They
popular
also
with
went
women?
to work, married,
What kind
and had
of
children
woman
would become an
Some people
obedient
even
little
lived
sheep
with
in
their
front of
colleagues
him.
for dozens
Could
of
it be
years
that this fellow's
and didn't
body
know
was
that there
filled
was a
with wind
martial
essence
artist
oil
in the secular
No, it was
world
filled with
hidden
knockout
among their
drugs.
colleagues?
Yes,
On the other
I
hand,
can't let my brothers
martial
get beaten
artists
up
in
for
the martial
nothing.
arts world
This
were
is
more
arranged by
powerful.
Chairman Gu.
They lived in
So I can't do
seclusion in the
anything
remote
about it.
mountains and
Chairman
forests.
Gu has
Their
promised
main
to pay for
pursuit was
everyone's
cultivation.
medical expenses
Although these
and mental
people lived
damage.
far away from
If
the
you guys
cities,
are still not
they would
satisfied,
often leave the mountains
why don't you give
and
Chairman
enter the
Gu a good
cities.
beating?
On one hand,
don't take
it was
it
to train
seriously.
in the secular
I'm
world.
just joking.
And on the
Qin
other
Feng
hand,
said he was joking.
it was to buy the daily
However,
necessities
judging
of the
from the
sect.
expressions of
The
the
women
Hong
in long
sect
hair were
gangsters,
sure that this
they
time,
didn't take it as a joke.
the people who came were
Chairman
all
Gu
from the
could
martial
feel
arts
20
world.
pairs of eyes
This
glaring
kind
at
of
him.
big sect
He
made
was so
everyone a
scared
little
that he
afraid.
almost wanted to
However,
run for his
Huang
life.
Jingwu didn't care.
Chairman Gu was
Their Hong
dumbfounded
sect
and
was
couldn't
considered
utter a
half a
word.
martial arts
Qin
world
Feng
sect.
shouted at the staff.
And it was also
Come,
one of
come,
the three
come.
sects of China.
Everyone get into
Their
position.
power was not much
Let's reshoot
weaker than the big
scene.
sects of the
The
martial
staff
arts
was ready
world.
to reshoot
If
the
some
scene.
martial artist
Chairman
from the
Gu
martial
quickly
arts
recovered
world
from his
came
shock.
looking for
He
trouble in
wiped the
Hero
cold
City.
sweat off his forehead
Huang
and said,
Jingwu would tell
"Hee
head
hee.
leader
Zheng
impermanence
Shuai,
to
I
come
thought
and
about
trample
it.
those bastards
Actually,
to death.
everyone acted well
Moreover,
in the first
Hero
part.
City was
I don't
Qin
think
Feng's
there's a need to
territory.
reshoot it.
If they really provoked
Chairman
Qin
Gu had
Feng,
been looking for
he
a
could
chance
destroy
to
an
drive
entire
Zheng Shuai
sect
away.
in the outer world
He
by
couldn't wait
himself.
for Zheng Shuai to
Elder
beat up
Bai
the
Yin,
Hong sect
I
gangsters.
really can't take this
However,
lying down.
when the time came,
Serenity is really
Chairman
something.
Gu retreated without
They are just
hesitation.
a busybody.
What?
The people from
you
the
don't want to
herbal
reshoot
sect
again?
had already left.
What do you mean by
and
that?
White Fifth kept complaining along the way.
Are you trying to act like
However,
a big shot?
Bai Yin's
Are you
face
trying
was
to make
cold,
fun of us?
and he seemed to be
Didn't you
thinking
say
about
that the
something.
movie wouldn't reach
White
the standard
Fifth,
of the movie
go back
if there
to
were
the
no
herbal
fights?
sect
And asked
Why are
my
you
elder
stopping
brother
now?
to send more
Qin
elite
Feng's
disciples
furious
to Hero
rebuke
City.
caused Chairman Gu
Bai
to
Yin
choke on his
suddenly
words.
said.
White
Ao
Fifth was
Shawan
stunned.
was even angrier
Elder,
than
what do you
Qin
mean?
Feng. When
Then
she
I
saw
won't
that
go with you
Chairman
to
Gu
train.
had angered
I
Qin
still
Feng.
want to participate
Hey,
in the martial
my
arts
idol is
world
talking
conference.
to you.
Are you
I want
mute?
to win the
Believe
championship
it or
for
not,
the herbal sect.
I'll ask the Hong
White
sect to
Fifth
go
was
to your
only a
company
stage
and tear
6
down your
energy
building.
cultivator.
No one
Even
dared to
Bai
doubt
Yin
Ao
couldn't help
Shawan's
but twitch
words.
his mouth when
Chairman
he said
Gu was
such
so
big
scared
words.
that his legs
Hero
trembled.
City is the
He
best
regretted
place to
coming
set
up
up
with
a base.
such a bad idea.
Go back and
He had
report
dug
to
a
the
pit and
sect
gotten
leader
himself
and
into it.
ask him to take over
Hi.
Hero City.
I was afraid that everyone would be
train with
tired
the rest
if they
of the
kept
disciples.
replaying the scene.
When the time
I was
comes,
afraid that
we
Zheng
will
Shuai
meet
would
at
be
Hero
tired.
City.
After
Chairman
we
Gu
take over
hurriedly
Hero
explained.
City,
Ao
we can
Shawan thought
participate
about it
in
and
the
martial
martial
arts world
How could he let
conference
Big
together.
Brother Qin Feng be
It
tired?
turned out that Bai Yin was thinking
At least
about
you
the
know what's
plan
good
along
for
the
you.
way.
Big
White
Brother
Fifth
Zheng
didn't
Shuai,
dare to
let's go
disobey
rest.
Elder Bai Yin's
I'll
order.
take you to dinner,
So
okay?
he quickly cupped
We
his
can go
fist and
shopping.
replied. Ao
Okay,
Shawan took
I
the
will go back
initiative to
now.
hold Qin Feng's
Elder,
arm.
everyone be
She
careful.
used to shout when talking to others. But when talking
Chapter
to Qin
914,
her voice
asked
was
the
so
Hong
soft
sect
that
for
it
help
made
share
people's
had
hair
already
stand
joined
on
the
end.
filming of Hedonist Sovereign.
Okay.
She had only
Since
been
Miss
filming
One
for a
has
day.
something to
to do with
but
Zheng
she was
Shuai.
already feeling
You
unwell.
guys can go and have
Were
fun.
they filming a
I'll
youth
give
idol
Mr.
drama?
Zheng Shuai a day
Wasn't
off
this a
and pay
stupid
him
melodramatic
usual.
movie?
Chairman
was
Gu
stunned
wiped
by
away the
Zhang
cold
Ke's
sweat on his
acting
forehead
skills
and
and
finally felt
personality.
relieved.
At the same
If
time,
Zheng Shuai really
she was
beat
mentally
up the
and
people
physically
of Hong Sek,
exhausted by
would he
Qin
still want
Feng's
to live?
constant requests
Ao
for more
Shaowen
sex
clapped
scenes.
happily. If
Qin
it wasn't
Feng
for some
suddenly
personal
said with a cold
reasons,
face,
Cher would have
"Since
left a
I'm a
long time
professional
ago.
actor,
She would
I
rather
can't be
die
afraid
than
of
act with these
hardships
people
and tiredness.
She couldn't even
Before
have
the
fun
movie
with them.
reaches the standard
Snow
I
wasn't
want.
the only one who
How can I
felt
settle
helpless.
for the second
Gu
best?
Shijie was even
This
more
is an
anxious.
insult to my acting
Originally,
skills and quality.
Manager Gu
Ao
had planned to
Shaowen
find a
was
way to
startled,
get rid of
but
Qin
her
Feng
reaction was
before
extremely
Cher
fast.
arrived.
Before
Before
the
the
scenes
smile
that
on
Qin
Chairman
Feng had
Gu's
filmed
face
over the
faded,
past few
Ao
days would be
Shaowen
cut
slapped
and red
him.
hot.
How
But
dare
now
you
that
insult
Cher
Big
was here,
Brother Zheng
Chairman
Shuai's
Gu
acting
still
skills
couldn't
and
get rid of
quality.
Qin Feng.
Do you want to die?
Every scene they shot
Chairman
now cost
Gu's
a lot
eyes
of
were
money.
filled with tears.
When the time came,
She felt
they
so
would
wrong
have to
that she
reshoot
almost
every
cried.
scene. When did
And
I
the
insult
investment
Zheng
would
Shuai?
double. Didn't you
Just
just
thinking
say
about
that you
it
want to
made
take
Chairman
Zhang
Gu's
Shuai
heart
shopping
ache.
and dinner?
It was already the
Miss
fourth day of filming.
You don't want
The
to go
crew
with
and more
Zhang
than
Shuai
20 supporting
before
actresses
Chairman
were
Gu
already
could
in
finish.
place.
Ao
Zhang
Xiaowan
was
jumped up
addicted
and
to
slapped
filming.
Chairman Gu
The
on
more
the
she
forehead.
filmed, the more
You shut
excited
up.
she felt.
Mr.
I didn't
Gu,
say anything
what are we
just
shooting
now.
today?
I want you to continue
Zhang
filming
looked at
until
Mr.
Big
Gu
Brother Zhang
excitedly.
Shuai is satisfied.
Manager Gu's heart was
Ao
bleeding,
Xiaowan's face
but he
changed
still put on a
faster than
smile
turning
and
the
said,
page of a book.
Superstar
Chairman
Cuckoo,
Gu was
you
completely
have to read the
speechless.
script yourself.
Under Ao
You have to
Xiaowan's
act
strong
according
pressure.
to the script.
Chairman Gu didn't
Manager
dare to
Gu was
resist
speechless
and
at
reluctantly
Zhang
began
Cuckoo's
to shoot
character
again.
of always improvising
Action.
on the spot.
In the new take, Zhang Cuckoo pursed her lips and grumbled.
I've been
The
reading
staff
the
of the
script
task
every
force
night after
released
dinner.
another small
I've been
thunderclap
reading it
cannon.
until late at night.
But this time,
What's
Qin Feng
wrong?
was prepared.
Did I not follow the script for the past 3 days?
He completely ignored
Zhang
the loud
Cuckoo
sound of
spoke
the
as if she was
firecracker
telling the truth,
and leaped to the front
as if
of
she
the
had
people
really
of Hong
studied the
sect.
script.
You
Mr.
bastards!
Gu rolled his eyes.
How dare you molest
He
a
didn't
young
know how to
woman in
answer
broad
Zhang
daylight?
Cuckoo.
Watch
You
how
didn't follow
powerful
the script.
Hero Qin
You're
Feng
acting out a
am.
completely
After
different
saying
show.
his catchphrase,
Mr. Gu said with
Qin
a
Feng
smile.
waved his palm.
Haha.
The
Big
20
star
hooligans
Kiki
of Hong
acted
sect
really
didn't
well.
dare to dodge.
I was just casually
They waited
saying,
for Qin Feng
today,
to kick them to
we're
the
going
ground.
to film a scene
After
of a hero
falling to the
saving
ground,
a damsel in
they
distress.
screamed and begged Qin Feng
Since they
for
would
mercy.
have to reshoot the scenes
Hero,
later
we were
on.
wrong. Mr. Gu
dare
did
to do
not
it
want to
again.
argue with Zhang Cuckoo.
Hero,
all
don't
the
draw
women
your
were
sword.
speechless.
I know that
Was it
once
going
your
to be a
sword is
hero
unsheathed,
saving the beauty
you will
again?
see blood.
The scenes
Bang,
from the
bang,
first
bang,
3
bang.
days were all
After
about
a
the
series
heroes
of
saving the
chaotic
damsel
sounds,
in distress.
Qin Feng had
How
put down the
melodramatic
people
was
of
this
Hong
script?
sect.
President
Gu
could see everyone's
really
reaction,
fighting,
and he
it
felt
wasn't
a
that
little
he had a
awkward.
problem with Brother
However,
Long
people
and the
nowadays
others.
love to watch
Qin
such
Feng also
melodramatic
thought that if he
dramas.
wanted to become
What
an
could he do?
excellent film actor,
Today's hero
and win
saving
the
the
Oscar
damsel
Golden
in
Deer
distress
trophy,
is slightly
he
different.
had to act real.
In the past 3
Brother
days,
Long,
the
and the
hero
others
saved
fell
the
to the
damsel in
ground,
distress by
screaming in
spraining
pain.
his ankle.
They weren't
spraining
pretending.
his waist.
They were
or
really
suffering
in
from
pain.
hand cramps.
Ao Xiaowan
Today,
suddenly
there
threw away
really
the
is a
machete
villain.
in his hand.
The
His
protagonist
arrogance
is going to
spoiled
beat
look
up the
changed.
bully. He
And when
clenched
the
his small
damsel in
fist
distress,
and trotted to Qin
Mr.
Feng
Gu
like
said,
a love-struck fool.
Good.
Wow, let's get
Hero,
started
you're
then.
amazing.
Let Brother
I don't
Zhang
want to be
Shuai
your
chase
enemy.
away the bad guys
I want to be
and
your
carry me
companion.
back. Qin
Zhang
Feng
Cuckoo
looked up
did
at
not
the sky
care
at
about
a
the
45-degree
plot. She
angle.
just needed to
His
act.
eyes were full of
Cough,
unruly
cough.
light.
Snow has more
Have you
scenes
decided?
today.
I'll
The
have
person
many
Zhang
women in
Shuai
my
wants
life.
to save is also
I've
Snow.
decided.
Mr.
As
Gu
long
did
as
not
I'm
dare
near
to let
heart,
Zhang Cuckoo
I'll be
act.
satisfied. Otherwise, the scene would collapse again. Zhang Cuckoo pouted unhappily,
Chapter 9:18.
but she did not
The
say
hero
anything.
saving the damsel
After
in
all,
distress was
Zhang
supposed to
Cuckoo
be
had
Snow,
snatched all the
and the
scenes
heroine
from the
was
other
also
supporting
Snow.
actresses
In
3
the
days
end,
ago.
Cher did
It was
not
not
even make an
appropriate for her
appearance.
to snatch Snow's
Instead,
scenes,
the Hong Triad's
since non-mainstream
non-mainstream
big
big
sister appeared.
Snow stood at the
Mr. Gu
side
wanted to die.
listlessly.
He
She
felt
was
that
not
his
looking
life was
forward
doomed
to
from the
today's
moment
scene.
he met Zhang
Mr.
Shuai
Gu had
crack.
been looking for an
Qin Feng
opportunity
himself
to
shouted
chase
to
Qin
stop,
Feng away.
but Ao
His
Xiaowan
eyes
was
darted
still
around,
nestled in Qin
and he
Feng's
suddenly
arms
came up
and
with a
refused
brilliant
to come
idea.
out. Ma Xinxin had long
Today's
been an
scene is
eyesore.
about beating up
She
the bully.
hurriedly ran up
To
and
make
dragged
the
Ao
plot more
Xiaowan.
realistic.
Hey,
I
the
plan
show
to
is
shoot
over.
this scene
Hurry up
on
and
Hong
leave.
Kong's
As a
pedestrian
girl,
street.
don't
I'll
you
hire
think it's
some extras
embarrassing
to
to
play
be
the
hugging
role
a
of the
man in
bully?
the middle of the
Mr.
street?
Zhang Shuai will beat
Ao
up the
Xiaowan
bully
was stunned
and
for a
win Snow's
moment.
heart.
And then
Just
her
thinking
temper
about
flared
it
up.
makes me feel good.
Hey, who are you
Manager
talking
Gu's
to?
suggestion
You're
was
saying
not
I'm
bad.
indiscreet?
And everyone
bitch.
agreed.
I won't let you
Hence,
leave Hong Kong
the group
today.
of people boarded a
Ao
dozen or
Xiaowan's
so
temper was
MPVs
very explosive
and drove to Hong
He
Kong's
picked up the machete
pedestrian
on the
street.
ground.
Qin
and was
Feng
about to start
and the women
fighting.
sat in the
Ma
same car.
Xinxin was not
Zhang
afraid of
Cuckoo
Ao
was the
Xiaowan.
only one in the car
Ever
who
since
chattered
Qin Feng taught
nonstop
her how
like
to
a little
fight.
bird.
Ma Xinxin
Everyone else
felt
was
that
looking
she was
at the scenery
invincible.
outside the car
Xiaowan
window
stopped
and
Qin
ignored
Feng
Zhang
called out to
Cuckoo.
Ao Xiaowan.
Qin Feng purposely
Ao
sat
Xiaowan
together
immediately
with
threw
Snow.
away the machete.
After a few days
got
of
into
observation,
Qin Feng's arms.
Qin Feng
and began to
discovered
act
that
like
the
a spoiled
hedonist
child
sovereign
again.
system
Qin
could
Feng
sense
had a
the
headache.
existence of the
He was
sovereign
almost
superstar
schizophrenic
system
because of Ao
whenever
Xiaowan.
he was with Snow.
Xiaowan, this
Last
is my
night,
manager.
Qin
You're not
Feng
allowed to
purposely
argue
left
with her.
Snow's side.
Ao
and went to
Xiaowan
a
glared
place
at Ma
one
Xinxin
kilometer away from her.
It was clear that
Thus,
she was still a
the
little
Hedonist
unhappy,
sovereign system
but she
could
didn't
no
dare
longer
to go
sense the
against
existence of the
words.
sovereign superstar
She nodded
system.
her head in grievance.
The two of them
said,
sat together in
"Shin-shin,
silence.
I'm sorry for
Ever
what
since
happened just
Shui-er
now."
suddenly asked him
Ma
to leave that
Xin-shin was
night.
stunned for a
She
moment.
didn't pay much attention
She really
to
couldn't
Qin
figure
Feng.
out what
Every
attracted
time
Ao
Qin Feng
Shaoan
got
to
close
Qin
to
Feng.
her,
He was
could
able
feel
to
that
subdue the
Shui-er
daughter
was
of the
nervous
Han
and
sect
vigilant
within minutes,
as if she was
At this
constantly on
moment,
guard
Zhang
against him.
Kuku also ran
Mr.
over.
Gu was sitting in the
She
lead
was very
car.
depressed
He
that
was
she
making
did not
a call
have a
on
role
his
in
cell
this
phone.
scene.
Yo,
Feeling depressed,
oh, it's you, Mr.
She
Gu.
also quarreled
Why are
with
you
Ao
calling me?
Shaoan. A
Qin
frivolous
Feng's
laughter
laughter
came
came
from the other side of
Ma
the phone.
Xin-shin and Ao
Mr. Gu
Shaoan.
laughed and
When
said,
Ao Shaoan
"Brother
picked up the
Long,
machete on the
we're
ground,
shooting a movie
ready
and
to
we're in
fight
need of
some
some
extras.
extras.
I
Zhang
wonder if
Kuku
you're
had
willing
always
to
been
bring
a
some
big
people
breasted
over to
but
help
brainless
out.
person.
The price is
She
negotiable.
also picked up a large
What
machete.
movie are you shooting?
But she did not use
My
it to
brothers
fight
are all
Ao
hooligans.
Shaoan.
How can they help you?
Struggled to put
Brother
the saber
Long
on her
sounded
neck.
doubtful.
She glared
He had
at
never
Ao
seen
Shawan
Mr.
and
Gu
shouted,
asking him to shoot
"Throw
a
away
movie
the
before.
saber in your hand.
To tell you
or
the
I'll
truth,
die in front
Brother
of you."
Long,
Ao
the main
Shawan was
character is
instantly
going to be a
dumbfounded.
hero saving
Even
the
a woman
damsel
like
in
her had
distress.
lost to Zhang
He needs
Kiki.
to chase
The
away
fans
some
were still
hooligans.
watching the scene.
The scene of
Brother
the women
Long,
fighting for Zhang
since you're all
Shuai's affections
professional
fell
hooligans,
into everyone's eyes.
you should be able to act
They
as
felt that
yourself.
this scene was
I'm
even
sure
more
you'll be more
exciting
professional
than the
than those
previous scene.
extras.
Many of them
Brother
were so
Long was
shocked
one
by
of the
Zhang
underlings
Kuku's
of Hong
last
sect
words
that they almost
peed their
controlled
pants.
Hong sect's
Many
underworld.
people laughed,
But
Mr. Gu's
CEO
new
Gu was
plan was
crying.
to hire
He
people
was
from
about to
Hong
die of
sect to act
depression.
as hooligans.
Ever since they met
Once
Qin
Zhang
Feng,
Shuai offended
he
these
and Gui Tao
hooligans,
had thought of
it
all
would be
sorts of ways to offending
chase Qin
Hong
Feng
sect.
away.
Zhang Shuai wouldn't even know how he died.
He found one of the four young
masters
You
of
want
Hong
us to
Kong,
act as hooligans
Lu Hai,
and get beaten up?
And in the end,
Why the fuck
Lu
are you
Hai
insulting me?
recognized Zhang Shuai as
Brother
his big
Long
brother.
was infuriated.
Then,
Gui
and
Tao
yelled
filmed
into
a
the
video
phone.
to frame Zhang
Brother
Shuai.
Long's position
And
in
in the
Hong
end,
sect was
Zhang
not
Shuai
even
was
worth
furious.
mentioning. Gui
His
Tao
status
beaten
was
up
not even
and even
one-tenth
opened the
of
door.
Mr. Gu's.
Now he
However,
wanted to use the
he dared to
Freemasons
yell at
chase
Mr.
Zhang Shuai
Gu
away
because he was a member
but
of
in the
Hong
end,
sect.
the young miss
Hong
of the
sect's position
Freemasons
in
took
Hong
a fancy
sect
to
was
Zhang
unrivaled.
Shuai.
Boss
It
Gu
was
didn't
like
even
the
have the
divine
energy
dragon's
to
position
complain.
in the hearts
He
of the
suddenly
martial
felt a
artists
deep sense
in the
of
secular
despair.
world.
He felt
Mr.
that he
Gu
wouldn't
broke
be able
out
to
in
chase
cold
Zhang
sweat.
Shuai away.
He hurriedly
The movie,
explained,
Hedonist
"Brother Long,
Sovereign,
don't be angry,"
which he had
I was
invested
just
over $1
asking
billion
casually.
into.
We're just
been
filming.
completely wasted.
We won't really let
However,
the main character beat
Boss
you
Gu
guys
was
up
not in the mood to
before
think about
Mr.
these
Gu could
problems,
finish, because
Brother
he
Long
suddenly found
interrupted
himself
impatiently.
surrounded by Brother Long,
Whether it's real or
and more
fake,
than 10 people.
I can't afford to embarrass myself.
Brother Long,
It's
seeing
really,
that his
really
plan
hard
was
on you
foiled
guys.
before it even
Don't
started.
worry, I won't
Mr. Gu
mistreat
felt
you.
helpless.
I'll pay you double the
All right
money.
then.
I'm
Slap.
sorry to disturb
As
you,
soon as
Brother
Boss
Long.
Gu finished
I
speaking,
wanted to give you
Brother
and your
Long
brothers
gave him a big
10,000
slap.
a day.
Money my
But
ass.
since Brother Long
Do you
doesn't
think we're
agree,
beggars?
forget it.
You're playing us like
Mr.
monkeys
Gu was
for a
about
little
to
bit of
hang up
money.
when Brother Long's
You said you
anxious
won't beat
voice
us up
came
for
from
real.
the phone.
But you
That
secretly
fact.
asked Big
Mr.
Brother
Gu,
Zhang
are we
Shuai to
only
beat us
filming
up
for today?
Gu, you're really something.
It shouldn't take
Why
a day.
didn't I realize
It
you're
should
this
be
kind
done
of
in the
person?
morning.
Brothers
Mr. Gu
didn't
gave him a good
understand
beating.
what Brother Long
The
meant.
Freemasons of the
Freemasons were
who
beaten
asked
up
my
badly
brother
by
Long
Qin
to be
Feng.
so loyal to his
So
friends.
they vented all their
Since
pent-up
Boss
anger
Gu
on Boss
specifically
Gu.
called me,
Boss Gu
it's
rolled
not
on the
right
ground
for
in
me
pain.
to not show up.
But no one
How
cared
many
about
hooligans
him.
do you have
Today's
on your
filming
side?
was over.
Is it enough
So
if I
Qin
call
Feng
1,000?
and the other celebrities
Mr. Gu
had
was
nothing
shocked.
to do.
1,000
However,
hooligans
they
for an
couldn't leave in a
anti-Japanese
short
film?
period of time.
No, it's not
because
that
the
many.
fans had surrounded
Just 10
them.
will be enough.
Unless Qin Feng
Isn't 10 too
and
few?
the girls stepped
How
over
about
the heads
this?
of the fans.
I'll call 20
They
people.
wouldn't be able to leave.
I'll be there in a minute.
Zhang Shuai.
20 people
Is that
meant
a movie or a
200,000.
TV series?
Brother Long
It's
was
so funny.
ecstatic.
It's
He
just
had
like
already
Stephen
thought about
Chow's
it.
ridiculous
He would
style.
tell his brothers
I must
that
watch
each
it when it's
person would
done.
get 1,000
Everyone
a
was
day,
asking Qin
and he
Feng
would
about
keep the
the
rest
movie
of the
that
money.
was being filmed.
Mr. Gu didn't
This was
care
a great
about
opportunity for
200,000.
free publicity.
As long as he could
Qin
chase
Feng
Qin Feng
and
away,
the girls
he was willing to
enthusiastically
spend
introduced
$2
the
million.
movie to everyone.
Brother Long,
Haha,
we're filming
dear
at
fans,
the pedestrian
the
walkway.
pretty girls,
The crew will be
and
here
Cher
soon.
are currently
We're
filming
waiting
the movie
for you.
Hedonist Sovereign.
Okay, I'll set
At
off
this
now.
rate,
It
Brother
should be
Long was
released
even
at the
more
end of the
anxious
month.
than Mr. Gu.
When that time
How could he
comes,
not be anxious?
I hope that everyone
An idiot
can take
wanted
care
to give
of
him
us
200,000
and help the box office
Brother
of
Long
Hedonist
couldn't wait
Sovereign
to get on a
skyrocket.
plane.
The
After
crowd was
hanging up,
noisy,
Mr.
but
Gu was
Qin Feng's
overjoyed.
voice seemed to have a penetrating power
With the help of
and
the
fell
Hong
into
Triad's
everyone's
hooligans.
ears.
He
Zhang
only
Shuai
needed to
was the
provoke
most
the
humble
relationship
celebrity they
between
had
Zhang
ever
Shuai
seen.
and Brother Long.
As a female fan of
and
Zhang
Shuai
Shuai would definitely
she felt
be kicked
extremely
out of
proud
Hong
and
Kong.
secure.
More than a
Didn't
dozen
the
cars
assistant
drove
director
to the
teach a
entrance
female
of the
fan a
pedestrian
lesson not long
walkway.
ago?
A group
What
of
happened in
workers
the end?
carried cameras
Zhang Shuai
and
slapped
various
the
props
female
out of
fan
the
away.
cars.
Zhang
Shuai,
Shuai,
Rousher man,
you're perfect to
and
be
the other
male
women
lead
were
of
the
Hedonist
last to get out of
Sovereign.
the car.
I'm looking
6
forward to this
bodyguards
movie.
dressed in black surrounded them to ensure their
I've read
safety.
the novel Hedonist
This
Sovereign,
huge scene instantly
and I like
attracted
the depth
the attention
and
of the
connotation of this
pedestrians.
novel very much.
This was the busiest
Zhang Shuai
pedestrian
fits the
street
image
in
of
Hong
the
Kong.
handsome male
There
lead
were
in the
people
novel
coming
very
and
well.
going on the street.
I'm going to post
In a
it on my
short while,
moments.
the
and let
surrounding
everyone
area
know
was
about this
completely completely blocked. There was a type of fan called
that's the popular
fans.
Chinese pop
There
group,
was another
Pretty
type
Girls.
of fan
That
was
girl
even
in the
crazier
sunglasses
and more
and white
destructive
princess
than
Die
Die
Hard
Hard fans called
right?
Zheng Shui fans.
Her film,
Although
My Pure
Teen Fong
Girlfriend,
had only
is
been
so
in the
good.
entertainment
I've watched
industry
it
for
6
less than a
times.
month, but it's still
A
not
group of
enough.
wild and passionate fans had emerged in China's
That's Zheng
entertainment
Shui.
industry.
Where's
These
Zheng
fans
Shui?
were willing to
Is there
stab
really
the fans
Zheng
of other
Shui?
celebrities
I'm
for
Zheng
Zheng
Shui's
Shui's
Die Hard
sake.
fan,
And the
I
fans
want
of
his
other
autograph.
celebrities had to
Sign
stay
it on
far
my
away
bra.
from Zheng Shui's
Soon,
fans.
someone recognized
Rao
Teen
Man,
Fong and the girls,
Zhang Cuckoo,
and the crowd
Cher
went
were
into an
shocked
uproar.
by Zheng Shui's
Teen
fans.
Fong had just become famous a
cohesiveness
few
of
days
his
ago,
fans
and the
their
incident of Zheng
ability
Shuai's
were
assault did
unparalleled.
not die down.
The crowd lowered
Instead,
their
it
heads
became more and more
took out their
serious.
phones to
Qin
post on
Feng
their
was wrongly
moments to help
accused,
Qin
and now
Feng promote
his
the
name
movie.
was cleared.
The power
Many
of these
fans
fans
felt
should not be
remorseful because they had
underestimated.
wronged Qin
When
Feng
they
in the
spread the
beginning,
news to their friends,
and even said some
their
harsh
friends
words.
would find new friends.
When they found out
They
that
were trying to
Qin Feng was
set off
trying to
another
protect
wave
his
of Zheng
fans,
Shuai's
and that it was
popularity.
Guo Tao who dug a
Qin
hole
Feng,
for
it's
Qin
about
Feng.
time. Let's
These
go
fans
back now.
became super loyal
If these
fans.
fans get
They
agitated,
swore to follow
the
Qin
situation
Feng for
will
the
get
rest
out
of
of
their
hand.
lives.
Ma Xinxin quickly whispered into Qin
Chapter
Feng's ear
9:15.
after she regained her
Ao
composure.
Shaoan is here.
Ao Shaoan was displeased
Why were there
when
so
he saw
many
this
people
scene.
here just to
He
watch
charged
Kiki
at Ma
act?
Xinxin again,
I'm almost embarrassed.
as if he was going to fight her.
Qin Feng
and
was
the
not
others
afraid
were a
of these
little
crazy
worried when they
fans.
saw so many
He was
fans
more afraid
surrounding
that
them.
Ao Shaoan
Zhang Kuku
and
was the
Zhang
only
Kuku
one
would
who
quarrel
clapped
with
and
each other.
cheered excitedly.
Zhang Kuku had
Rao
threatened
Man
to kill
couldn't stand
herself.
it anymore.
Who knew what kind
She
of
pulled
stupid
Zhang
thing she
Kuku's
would do
arm
next
to
time.
stop her from
Miss
jumping
Wan,
around.
we've cut off that
Quiet
idiot's
down.
hair.
These
Do you want
are
to
all
teach
people
him a
who are
lesson?
here to shop.
Brother
Who's
Long
here
led
to
a
watch
group
you
of
put on a
Hong
show?
Triad members
Do
to
you still
Ao
want to
Shaoan's
live?
side.
Zhang
Everyone
Kuku was
hastily
displeased.
turned to look at
She
Chairman
rolled her
Gu,
eyes at Rao
and they were
Man,
instantly stunned.
I know you're jealous
Gu's
that my
long and
acting is
elegant
better
hair
than yours.
had been cut by
If
Brother
saying
Long
this will make
until
you
he
feel
was
better,
bald.
then
He
wasn't
continue.
completely bald.
Zhang Kuku
because
spoke with a
Brother
straight
Long's
face.
hair-cutting skills
Rao
were limited.
Man rolled her eyes.
There were patches of baldness
CEO
on
Gu,
Boss Gu's
are we
head.
really going to
as if
shoot
he
it
had
on
been
pedestrian
chewed by a
street?
dog?
There
Chairman
are so many
Gu's face
people.
was swollen.
Will there be any
and there were
safety
footprints
hazards?
all over his body.
Cher had already
However,
given up on
he did not care
Sovereign's
about
movie.
the pain on his body
Now that
at
she
all.
saw so many
He held
fans
a mirror
gathered
and looked
Cher
at
was
himself
even more
with
worried.
tears streaming down
Manager
his
Gu
face.
didn't expect
This
the fans
scene
to be
amused the
so
women
crazy
and made
In
them
fact,
double over with
most
laughter.
of them were Zheng Shuai's
They
fans,
realized that the bald
because the
Chairman Gu
surrounding
was not
screams
much more
were all
handsome than
shouting
Zheng
Zheng
Shuai's
Shuai's
name.
Big
Although
brother
he was
Zheng
worried,
Shuai,
Boss
do you
Gu
want to
had
beat
no
that
other
guy
way
up
out.
again?
He had
Ao
already
Shaoan
called
asked
Brother
Qin
Long
Feng,
and
Qin
arranged
Feng
to
looked
film
at
at
Chairman
the
Gu,
pedestrian street,
who seemed to have
if he were to
changed
leave
into a
now
different
and Brother
person.
Long couldn't
He
find
could not
Boss
help
Gu
but
when he
lament the
arrived,
viciousness
he
of
would
these women.
definitely chase
Chairman
Boss Gu
Gu
to
had
house
been
of
tortured
millions
to this
media,
extent,
and hack
but
him
Ao
to death.
Shaoan still wanted to beat him
Big
up.
celebrities, since you're all here,
Let's
Feng
finish
ignored
filming
Chairman
before
Gu
you leave.
and left
These
with a
people
group
are
of
your
women.
fans.
The fans were
believe they
seething
won't
with
mess
excitement.
around.
President
They followed
Gu
Qin
comforted
Feng wherever
everyone.
he went.
Qin Feng
Many
and Zhang
fans
Kuku
rushed
did not
over
mind,
to take photos
but
with
Rao
Qin
Man
Feng
and Shui
or
Er
take
were a
advantage
little
of the
worried.
chaos.
However,
to take
they
advantage
could not
of
do
Qin
anything
Feng.
since CEO Gu
However,
had spoken.
there seemed to be
Shui
an
Er said
invisible air
helplessly,
current around Qin
"Then
Feng.
let's hurry up and
Once
leave
the
as soon
fans
as got
possible.
within 5 meters of
Mr.
him."
Gu
They
tiptoed to
couldn't
look
go
at
any
the
further
entrance and said
after
awkwardly,
Qin Feng's repeated
"Hee-hee.
persuasion.
Superstar
Ao
Shui Er,
Shaoan
let's wait a
finally
little
followed
longer.
Brother Long.
Those
And
gangster
the others
extras
back
are
to
on
the
their
Hong
way.
Sec space.
When they arrive,
Qin Feng
we'll start
brought the
filming
women back to
immediately.
Hong Kong
After
International
finding
Hotel.
out that they still had
The
to wait
fans
for
were blocked
someone,
by the hotel's
Cher was
security
somewhat
guards.
unhappy.
However,
in order to prevent
the fans
any
were
hidden
so
dangers,
crazy that the hotel
Cher
had
and
no
the beautiful
choice
young
but to
lady
close the
duo
door.
hid in the car.
Qin Feng,
However,
and the women
Qin
had
Feng
already
didn't mind.
gathered in Rao
He
Man's
continued
room.
to stand outside
However,
and bask in the
Cher
sun.
went back to her
The
room
crew members
as
had
soon
all
as she
become
returned
security
to the hotel.
guards. She had been
Surrounding the
alone
perimeter
these days
and blocking
and
the
did not like to
enthusiastic
hang out
fans
with Qin
outside.
Feng
And the
CEO
others
Gu kept
in
looking
the
around
room
anxiously.
Zhang Kuku was
Zheng
jumping
Shuai,
around on the
Zheng
sofa.
Shuai, I love you.
She kept talking
Let
about
me in.
today's filming.
Zheng Shuai is my
the
husband.
sofa was almost destroyed
Zheng
by her
Shuai,
footsteps.
are you going to film here?
Qin Feng,
What kind of
and the
movie
other
is
two
this?
ignored Zhang
I'll
Kuku
go to the cinema
and
to
sat on the
support
sofa
you.
to watch
The
TV.
fans did not disperse even
Zheng
after a
Shuai,
long
you're
time.
popular again.
Instead, they gathered
Rao
more and
Man
more.
screamed as she
Qin
scrolled
Feng
through
did
her
not
phone.
put on any
Ma
airs of a
Xinxin seemed to
superstar.
have realized
He
something.
stood outside.
She quickly
and
interacted
interacted
with
the
the
fans
from
from
time
Weibo.
to time.
Hey,
Are these
you're
fans
not
crazy?
allowed to go in.
The video
Get
of
out
us
of
filming
here.
on the set has been uploaded.
A slender
It
and
has more
sexy
than 10
beauty
million
rushed
views,
into the protective
hundreds
circle,
of thousands of
while the
shares,
crew wasn't
and millions
paying
of
attention.
comments. The
This is
assistant
going to be a
director
big hit.
immediately pointed
Rao
at the
Man
woman
and Ma
and
Xinxin
scolded
were
her.
stunned by the
Halfway
influence
through
and
his
craziness
scolding,
of Qin Feng's
Qin Feng
fans.
slapped the
Zhang
assistant
Kuku
director's
stopped
shoulder,
jumping,
numbing
and took
half
out her
of the
phone to
assistant
scroll through the
director's
video.
arm.
In the
Why
room,
the hell are you yelling
the
at my
screams of
female
the three
fan?
women were so
Believe
loud
it or
that
not,
they almost created
I'll send
a hole
you
in the
flying
roof.
with a kick.
Xing Feng
Extra.
glared at the
I
assistant
bumped
director.
into Zheng Shuai,
A domineering
pretty girl
aura
group,
exploded from
and
his
share at
body,
the pedestrian street
scaring
today.
the assistant
They were
director
filming
into
a
running
movie,
away.
and it's super
This
funny.
scene caused the
I'll
surrounding
regret it for
fans
the
to
rest
go
of my
wild.
life if I
The
don't
female
watch it.
fan who rushed
The
in
movie
was so
Hedonist
excited
Sovereign
that
starring
she
Zheng
almost
Shuai
flew
has
into
started
the air
filming
and threw
It's
herself
estimated
into
to be
Qin Feng's
released at the
arms.
end of this month.
Zheng Shuai,
Everyone,
I want
please
your
go
autograph.
and support Zheng
Ma
Shuai when the
Xinxin
time
stood
comes.
with Qin Feng outside. Seeing the female fan hugging Qin Feng so tightly, Chapter
Ma
919
Xinxin
felt a pang
the
of
filming
jealousy.
went smoothly for the
Sure,
next
where
few
should I
days.
sign it?
Ao
Xiaowan
Feng
visited
smiled.
Qin Feng
The
every day.
female fan thought
She
for
wasn't
a while,
supposed to be a
and suddenly
character in
took
this
off her
movie.
jacket.
But she
Then
was
she
forced to play
unbuttoned
the
her shirt
female
and
lead's
said,
role. I'll sign
because
it here.
Of A.O. Xiaowan's arrival.
For a week.
So you'll stay in my cleavage every day.
Qin Feng anymore.
Qin Feng looked at the white
heart
expanse
every
day
sun,
as he watched
and
Qin
suddenly
Feng,
felt a little
and
dizzy.
the others turned
The
movie
female
into
fan
a
had already handed a pen
His
to
original
Qin Feng,
plan was to get
and
rid of
Qin
Qin
Feng
Feng
hurriedly signed
and
it.
find another young and handsome actor
I'll always
to
support
reshoot the
you.
movie. After her
However,
wish was fulfilled,
judging from the current
the female
situation,
fan was as
it was
satisfied and
impossible
sweet,
to get rid of
as
Qin
if she had
Feng.
just returned
Hence,
from heaven.
Mr. Gu was
She winked
prepared
at
to
Qin
throw
Feng
away
and
billions
ran away
of yuan
shyly.
of investment.
The surrounding fans were
became
in
more
an
and more
uproar.
reclusive.
The sound of
She
clothes
came and
being
went on her own
unbuttoned
every day.
resounded. The
This was
female
especially
fans were
true when
completely
Qin
crazy.
Feng went to look
They
for
weren't
her
afraid
to
of the cold in
investigate
winter.
further.
She was
even
took off their
from
stockings
like a hungry wolf.
Zheng
She
Shuai,
hid as far
I want
away
your
from him as
autograph
she
too.
could.
Sign
A.O.
on my
Xiaowan
thigh.
and Ma
I've
Xinqin
taken
would
off my
bicker from time
stockings.
to time.
Superstar
But
Zheng
A.O.
Shuai,
Xiaowan
I'm
and
a
Zhang
man,
Cuckoo have
but I like
become
you
good
very
friends.
much. The
Can
two
you
of
sign
them
on my
acted
chest
together
too?
every day.
If not, why
and
don't
we're
you
good
sign
at
on my
changing the
butt?
plot and lines
Rousher
together.
man,
And
they
the
were
other
like a
two women
long-lost
sat in
pair
the
of
car,
beautiful sisters.
but they could clearly
A.O.
hear the
Xiaowan's
tide-like
arrival
shouts
changed a
outside.
lot of things.
The three women
On the
peeked
whole,
through the car
Qin
window.
Feng was very satisfied.
Even though they were popular
He had always
celebrities,
wanted President
they were
Gu
still
to add
shocked
sex
by Zheng
scenes.
Shuai's crazy
But Rauscher
hardcore
Man and
fans.
Shui Er didn't
The
agree.
situation was
Now
going
that
out of
A.O.
control,
Xiaowan was here,
and CEO Gu
Qin
was
Feng
sweating
didn't even need to
profusely.
say anything.
At this time,
A.O.
a
Xiaowan
group of
strongly
strong men in
requested to
black
have
suits
sex
and
scenes
pants
with
rushed
Qin Feng
over.
cut.
There were
Today's
20 of
filming
them,
was completed
and the one
successfully
walking in
after
front was a
CEO Gu
non-mainstream
stopped.
woman.
Zhang Cuckoo
She had
and
a
A.O.
yellow
Xiaowan
afro,
held
a
hands
nose
and ran
stud,
to
and a lip
CEO Gu
stud.
excitedly.
Her clothes were
These
also
days,
full of holes
the
and
two
denim
girls
and
would go to
jeans.
CEO Gu
She
to
looked
ask
just like a
questions
movie on
after
the
filming.
fund.
Hey
Brother
Gu,
Long,
how was our
you're finally
performance
here.
today?
CEO
A.O. Xiaowan
Gu's face
had been
bloomed with
addressing
joy when he
CEO
saw the
Gu like
newcomer.
this ever since he
He
joined the
quickly went
crew.
up to greet him.
But CEO
The
Gu
crowd
didn't
that was
even
shouting
flare up.
and yelling suddenly
Haha,
quieted
good
down.
performance.
A few moments
You've
later,
improved since
the
yesterday.
situation became even
Manager
crazier.
Gu flattered A.O.
See, that
Xiaowan
woman
with a
looks
smile.
like the daughter of
The
the
most
Hong
painful
sect.
thing for him
It's
now
really
was not
A.O.
the
Xiaowan
fact that he had thrown
Holy
away
shit.
billions of
Is
yuan,
A.O. Xiaowan Zheng
but the
Shuai's
fact that
fan
he
too.
could not be angry even though he had thrown
Zheng
away
Shuai
billions
is going
of
to
yuan.
dominate the Hong
He had to
Kong
lie to
entertainment
A.O. Xiaowan,
industry,
and Zhang
CEO
Cuckoo
Gu
every
didn't
day.
care about the
A.O.
fans shouting
and
and
Zhang
yelling.
Cuckoo were
He was
overjoyed.
already standing
The
in
two
front
girls
of Brother
patted
Long
Mr.
with a
Gu's
smile
head,
on his face,
as if they were patting
Brother
a
Long's
lackey.
face turned
Not
cold.
bad, not bad.
He gave CEO
You have
Gu a
good
big
taste.
slap and said,
As long as
"Are
you
you
continue
blind?
to work hard,
Can't you see our young
I
miss
believe
is
he
here?
will become the
Why
most
did you greet me
influential
first,
director
and
in
not
China."
the young miss?
Boss
Do you
Gu's
want to
heart
die?
was bleeding nonstop.
Brother Long looked arrogant.
He felt that after
But
this
deep
movie
down,
was
he was
released,
scared to death.
he would become the
He had
most
brought a
psychotic
group of people
director.
to film a movie.
Haha,
But they
thank
bumped
you for
into
your
A.O.
kind words,
Xiaowan on
Miss
the way.
Wan.
Brother
CEO
Long
Gu
quickly
still
greeted
couldn't show
A.O.
his
Xiaowan.
emotions.
After
So
some
he kept a
questioning,
smile on his face.
A.O. Xiaowan
Zhang
learned that
Cuckoo
Brother
and
Long
A.O.
was going to
Xiaowan's
film a
vanity
movie.
was satisfied.
A.O.
So
Xiaowan's
they happily
interest was
ran back
piqued
to Qin Feng's
because she had
side.
never acted
After
in a
the two
movie
ladies
before.
left,
Thus,
Chairman Gu
A.O.
patted his
Xiaowan
chest
brought a group
and
of
panted
people
heavily.
and appeared here.
He almost had a heart
CEO Gu
attack
was slapped in
after
public,
filming,
but he
the
didn't
group
show any
returned to the
anger.
hotel.
CEO Gu knew that he was nothing in front of the
A.O.
Hong
Xiaowan
sect.
also wanted to
Moreover,
go back with Qin
he was
Feng,
so shocked
but
that he
Qin
started
Feng
to
refused.
stammer when he saw
Qin
the
Feng
non-mainstream
didn't want to take
beauty
A.O.
in front
Xiaowan
of him.
back.
And
Miss
what's her
A.O.
fight with
Why
Ma
you're here
Xinqin?
too? Slap.
After returning
A.O.
to the
Xiaowan
hotel,
stretched out his hand
Qin Feng went
and
into
gave
his
CEO
room.
Gu a slap.
It had been more than
In
a
Hong
month
Kong,
since the
A.O.
battle
Xiaowan
with the
was
Dragon
so
God.
capricious.
Qin Feng
Who
had
allowed
to
you to
plan
call
his
me Miss
future
A.O.?
plans
Call
and
me
make
Miss
himself
Wan
from
from
now
now
on
on.
as soon as
Do you
possible.
hear me?
Hello,
A.O. Xiaowan was
Little
very
Ya,
angry.
how have you been recently?
Ever since Qin Feng
Leah
called her
called
Miss
Qin
Wan,
Feng as
she
soon as
forced
he laid
everyone
down
in
on
Hong
the bed.
Kong to call her
I'm
Miss
fine,
Wan.
don't worry too much.
CEO Gu was
Why did
inexplicably
you go to Hong
slapped
Kong
twice.
to film?
He
Don't
felt
tell
so
me your
wrong that
secret
he was
mission
about
this
to
time
cry.
is to
And
become
Miss
a
Wan,
celebrity.
H, how are you?
Ever since
CEO
Qin
Gu
Feng
had
rushed
seen
to
A.O.
Zhongshuan
Xiaowan
City
before,
to rescue Li
but
Ya
he had
and
never
destroyed
talked
the
to
Lone
her
Dragon
because his
gang.
status was not high
Zhongshuan
enough.
City had been peaceful.
Now that he could talk to
Li
A.O.
had been
Xiaowan,
busy for a while.
CEO Gu was
so
so
she had a
nervous
lot of free
that his
time
mind
recently.
became abnormal.
Li Ya's voice
For a
carried
moment,
a trace of
he
laziness,
didn't know what to say.
as
if she was a young wife.
I'm here to film a movie
to her husband.
Hurry up and arrange for us to film a
body
movie.
Softened when he heard
Ao
it.
Xiaowan
How
rolled
did
her
you know
eyes
I was
at
filming in
CEO
Hong
Gu.
Kong?
She didn't want to talk
Feng
nonsense
didn't remember
with
telling
CEO Gu
Wuxia about this.
She just wanted to look
Lia's
bored and
laughter
have
came
fun.
over.
Knowing
My
that the
Qin
person
Feng,
who came was
how
the
do you
daughter
think
of the
I know?
Hong sect,
Your
Ao
Zhou Shui
Xiaowan.
fans are crazy,
The fans
aren't they?
around them quieted
Recently,
down.
As
They
long
were
as I
afraid
open
that
up
if they
accidentally
accidentally
angered
videos
videos
and
and
websites,
they wouldn't be
it's
able to
basically
survive
all
in
about
Hong
you.
Kong anymore.
It's either your songs,
Okay.
the Zheng Shui
Let's start
beating
filming
people
now.
up incident,
CEO
or
Gu
the
came
live
back to
video
his
of you
senses
filming the
and
movie
didn't
he
dare
didn't
to delay.
sovereign. He quickly
Leah
ran
was
to
stunned
the
by
car
Qin Feng's
and called
ability.
Cher and the
Qin
others
Feng's
to get
original
out.
identity
The main
was already
stars were
very
all in
impressive.
place. The
CEO
Azure
Gu
Dragon
suddenly
of China's
remembered
9
the purpose
dragons.
of calling Brother
In the
Long,
end,
seeing that Ao
Qin Feng
Xiaowan
was not
here.
satisfied with the
CEO
current
Gu was very
situation,
happy
and
if
insisted
Zheng Shui
on making
offended Ao
himself
Xiaowan,
ugly to enter
what
the
would happen to
entertainment
him?
industry.
In the
Miss
end,
Wan, he
let me
became
tell
a
you
hot
your
topic
lines
all over
and
the
the plot
country,
first.
trampling
Manager
on all
Gu
the
hurriedly
popular
ran to
singers
Ao
and
Xiaowan's
A-list
side.
celebrities.
He
It had
decided
been
that
a long
today he
time
would
since
specially
the entire
serve this young
entertainment
Mississippi.
industry
Hurry
had
up.
heard of the hot
Ao
news of
Xiaowan's
other
voice was
celebrities.
cold. She had never been patient with strangers. Dominated the screen.
Gu didn't dare to delay.
Voice was filled with excitement and cheerfulness.
Miss Wan, this
she
scene
was
is
proud
mainly
of
about
about
a hero saving
Although
the beauty.
Qin Feng felt that everything Li said
In a
was
while,
the
you
truth.
and the Hong Sek
Qin
brothers
Feng
will
was
flirt
still
with
a
the
little
female
embarrassed
lead,
to be
Cher.
praised like this.
And then the male lead,
The celebrity
Zheng
mission
Shuai,
is not
will come out
arranged
and
by the
beat you.
Dragon Gate.
Miss Wan, don't
It's
worry.
just a small
The
wish
fighting
of mine.
process is fake.
Qin Feng
It
did
won't
not
hurt you.
intentionally
When
hide it
Ao
from
Xiaowan
Li.
heard this,
He
she was
I
immediately
didn't know
unhappy.
that you have a dream
What
of
the fuck
becoming
are you
a celebrity.
talking about?
You're the
You want me to be
ancestor of all
beaten?
weirdos.
I think you want to
It's
die.
fine if you want to be
Oh
a
my God,
celebrity.
I didn't mean
but
that.
why did you have to
That's the
change your
script.
ugly appearance
CEO
to
Gu
enter
was
the
so scared
entertainment
that he almost
industry?
knelt down.
I've never seen
Ao
someone
Xiaowan
like you.
put her hands on her
Lia's
hips,
voice became
pointed
more
at
and more
CEO Gu,
flirtatious,
and shouted.
Qin Feng
Then
couldn't help
the
but
script.
recall the time
Let the
when
hero
he performed
saved beauty,
acupuncture on
but in the
Lia.
end,
It made
he
his
will
heart
be
itch.
beaten by the Hong Sect.
By the way, little
CEO Gu's mouth
although we
twitched.
destroyed the
He
Lone
had made
Dragon
movies
gang
for so many
the people
years
of the Verdant
and
sect
created
escaped.
dozens of IP
You can't let your
masterpieces.
guard down these days.
This was the first time that he heard that the hero
You have
saving
to be
the beauty
vigilant.
ended up
If you're
being
really
beaten
in
by the
danger,
villain.
Open
But
the
CEO
lover's
Gu
lock that
quickly
I
came
gave
to
you.
his senses.
Qin Feng
He
had
felt
guessed
that
that the
Ao
people
Xiaowan's
of the Verdant
suggestion was
sect
too
would
good.
continue to seek revenge.
Okay. When he
Whatever
went to
Miss
Zhongchuan
Wan
City
says,
to save
let's act
Lia.
like this.
Therefore,
I'll talk to
Qin
the hero
Feng
later
gave the
and
lover's
ask the
lock
Hong
to
Sect
Lia.
to beat him.
The lover's lock
CEO
was a
Gu was
reward
so
from the
excited
system
that he
mission.
couldn't wait for
After
Zheng
the
Shuai to
lover's
be
lock
beaten.
was opened,
It would be
the
best
wearer
if Zheng
would
Shuai
possess
fought back
80%
and
of
offended
Qin
Ao
Feng's
Xiaowan.
strength for half
Then,
an hour.
Zheng
With
Shuai
Ma
would really be
Xingxin's
ruined.
help, Qin
After
Feng had
CEO
already
Gu and
recovered
Ao
his
Xiaowan
stage
reached
9
an
energy.
agreement. He went
Even
to
if
talk
he
to
only
Qin
possessed
Feng.
80%
Seeing
of
that
his strength,
CEO Gu was so
he could still
obedient,
defend
Ao
against the
Xiaowan
attacks
didn't
of
bother
martial
him
artists
anymore.
below
She
stage
crossed
9
her arms in
energy.
front of her chest.
All right.
And
I'll
be
look at the
careful.
male lead
You have to
aggressively.
take care of yourself
When she saw
too.
Zheng Shuai's
Come
face,
and find me when you're
she was
free.
so scared that she
I'll let
almost
you
fell.
sleep on the bed tonight.
This man looked even
Lia's
more
voice
non-mainstream
became
than
softer
her.
and softer.
Finally, she shyly hung up the phone.
Chapter 916.
Qin Feng's body was
Ao
burning
Xiaowan
with
was
passion
looking at
because
Qin
of
Feng.
Wuxia. And
He was
Qin
so
Feng was
excited
also
that
looking
he
at
almost
Ao
rode the
Xiaowan.
flaming golden
Qin Feng
eagle
had
to
seen
fight her.
Ao Xiaowan the
Qin
moment
Feng
she
resisted
arrived.
the urge.
Then,
He returned to his
Qin Feng was
room to plan
dumbfounded.
his next move.
How did this girl
Qin
return to
Feng
her
entered the
non-mainstream
hedonist
self?
sovereign system with
Zheng
a thought.
Shuai, let me confirm the
Master,
script with you.
As soon as he
CEO
entered,
Gu
little
ran to
pig,
Zheng Shuai's
the
side
three
with a
battle
smile
pets,
on his face.
and the two heroes,
The script remains the same.
Shui and
Later,
Feng
the
surrounded
Hong
him.
Triad members
Qin
will play
Feng
the role
greeted
of
everyone,
gangsters
and
then
bully
checked
Cher.
his current
At the
hedonist
critical
points
moment,
and mission
thunder
information.
will rumble in the
Qin
sky,
Feng had a
and you
total
will
of
appear to beat up those
132,000
gangsters.
hedonist
Then,
points.
you will play
His
the
original
hero and
plan
save
was to
Cher.
complete as many
CEO
missions
Gu
as
was in high
possible within the
spirits.
next 3
Qin
months.
Feng did not know why he was so excited.
500,000 hedonist
Okay,
points.
I know how to
activate
act.
the star
I'm
technology
born with the
interface.
ability to act cool.
However,
I don't
after
need you to
Qin
teach
Feng
me.
looked carefully,
That's true.
he realized that
by
he had
the way,
a total of
there's
8
one thing that
unfinished
needs to be
missions.
changed.
Among these
Originally,
8 missions,
it was
there
supposed
were
to be
very
a fake
few
fight,
that could be completed
but after
within 2
discussing
months.
with the people of
The
Hong
mission
Triad,
to devour the
to
sovereign
make this scene
superstar
more
system
realistic,
rewards
the Hong
100,000
Triad brothers are
hedonist
willing
points.
to be beaten up.
You
I'm
can
a
just beat them
superstar.
for real.
Chain mission
It's
rewards
not your fault if you
70,000
injure them.
hedonist points in
I'll
total.
pay for their medical
The mission to
expenses and
complete
mental
the martial
damage.
arts alliance
Qin
leader
Feng did
rewards
not know that
100,000
CEO had been
hedonist
slapped
points.
twice.
The
So
main
why was
mission
he
of the
so
founder
excited?
rewards
But now he
300,000
understood
hedonist
everything.
points.
After all
the
this
mission
time,
to destroy the
this
William
old guy
family
was still
rewards
plotting against him.
200,000 hedonist
However,
points.
Qin Feng did not
Feng
expose
felt
that he
CEO
might
Gu.
be able to
He
complete
smiled
these
and
5
said,
missions if
"Okay,
he tried.
I got it."
However,
Since
they were
someone is
extremely
giving me a
difficult.
free beating,
If he could
it's not a
complete all
problem
5
for me
missions,
to put in more effort.
he would receive
right?
770,000
CEO Gu laughed
hedonist
so
points,
hard that his
which would
chrysanthemum
be enough to
blossomed.
unlock the star
Haha,
technology
beat them.
interface.
Just beat
However,
them to death.
to complete
Anyway,
all 5 of
I
these
have a lot of
extremely
money.
difficult missions
I can settle
within
it
2
for you
months,
even if you beat
even
them to
Qin
death.
Feng felt that
As
it was
long
impossible.
as the effect of this scene
After
is
a round of
achieved,
analysis,
everything is
Qin
negotiable.
Feng had some ideas
Okay,
to change his
with
previous
CEO Gu's
plan.
words, I'm
It was
relieved.
not realistic
Qin
to gather
Feng looked like he was
500,000
taking it
hedonist
seriously.
points.
CEO
To
Gu
unlock the
wanted
star
to laugh but
technology
could not.
interface
His
within
neck
2
was
months.
red from holding it
Moreover,
in.
after
Even if
setting
he
up the
managed
plot
to
of
gather
both
enough
sides,
hedonist points
Mr.
to
Gu quickly
unlock the
winked
star
at the
technology
staff.
interface.
Everyone was ready
Qin
to
Feng
start
could
shooting.
imagine how expensive the onlookers dared to rush in, because Ao Shawan was there to hold the fort. If a random A-grade battle equipment cost hundreds of thousands of hedonist points, how would Qin Feng be able to buy it? Personally hit the clapperboard. You can try forging the galaxy flying sword now. The shooting had already begun. Qin Feng was hesitating. The camera was aimed at Ao Shawan, sounded, and the members of the Hong lit up. He had been thinking about the star technology recently, swaggered down the street, and had forgotten about the galaxy flying sword. In Hong Kong. This was an immortal every move revealed that had appeared in the system's limited edition interface. In their true colors. Once it was forged, Miss Wan, its power would be unimaginable over there. Ever
Do you
since
want to bring
Qin
her
Feng
over
had
for us
spent
to play?
100,000
Brother
Hedonist
Long followed
points
the script
to unlock
and
the
walked
right
up
to
to
forge the starry sky flying sword.
stopped.
He had
rubbed
been
his
collecting
chin,
materials
and looked
for
at
forging the
Schwer.
starry sky
She really
flying
is a
sword.
top-grade beauty.
During the Ghost
Go,
Mountain
catch
Ancient
her for
Martial
me.
Ruins
I
expedition.
want to ask her about the
Qin
secret
Feng
of
had
breast
obtained quite a
enhancement.
few materials.
It was also Ao Xiaowan's first time
Qin Feng
acting.
had stored some of them in the 10,000
There were many
treasures
things
pavilion.
she didn't understand.
Now that a month had passed,
However, Ao
those
Xiaowan
materials
didn't
had
need to
automatically
understand.
leveled up.
She was like
Qin
Zhang
Feng
Kuku.
entered the
She
Million
would act
Treasure
wherever
Pavilion
she wanted.
interface.
There was
Before
a
he
burst of
challenged
laughter
the
all
Dragon
around.
God,
Everyone
Qin
was
Feng
amused
spent
by Ao
50,000
Xiaowan's
Hedonist
words.
points to
How
upgrade
was this
the
a
Million
shooting?
Treasure Pavilion
Was this a
from
comedy?
1-star
It was a
to
little like
two-star
Stephen
Million
Chow's
Treasure
nonsensical
Pavilion.
style.
The 2-star
Chairman
Million
Gu's
Treasure
mouth twitched
Pavilion could
violently.
now store
He
grade
wanted
2
to
spirit
shout,
pills.
"Cut!" But he
Orange
didn't
grade
dare to.
spiritual
He
equipment,
could only watch
and some
helplessly
high-grade
as the
materials
scene was messed up.
in the Million
However,
Treasure
this was
Pavilion.
not important.
The 20
Chairman Gu
materials
was
that
waiting
Qin
for
Feng
Qin
put
Feng
in
to
last
appear
time
and
had
defend the
matured
Hong sect
and were flashing
be
with
chased out of
different
Hong
lights.
Kong.
Qin
At that
Feng's
time,
thoughts moved
Chairman
slightly,
Gu would find
and
a
these
fresh meat in
materials
the
all
film
appeared in
industry
his
and
hands.
reshoot Hedonist
Compared to
sovereign.
when he put them in last
All right,
time,
he would also
they were
chase Zhang
obviously a
Kuku
grade
out of Hong
higher.
Kong.
And the spiritual chi
W, what are you
fluctuations
doing?
in the materials
Brother Long
were more
and his
obvious.
underlings had surrounded
Grade 3
Schwer.
purple star sand.
Schwer screamed in
grade
fear.
3 black luo
Little
wood.
beauty, don't
medium
shout.
grade spirit
We're
stone.
not bat people.
You on meteor
Our big
stone.
sister wants to
100
talk
year
to
ice
you.
crystal.
You'd better
Gold
come
bar.
with us obediently.
3 heaven and earth. You
I don't
on
want to go
stones.
with you.
Grade
Don't
3
stop
black rock
me,
sand.
or I'll call
grade
the
3
police.
amethyst. Schwer acted
These were the
very
main
well.
materials.
Her
and some
expression was on
supplementary
point,
materials
and
needed
her
to
voice
forge
was
the
trembling.
galaxy flying sword.
Brother Long's face
Among
turned
them,
cold.
the grade
He
3
became
materials
impatient
were the
and
ones
said,
that Qin
"Bitch,
Feng
I'm giving
put
you
in the
face,
Million Treasure
but you
Pavilion
won't
to
listen to
store
me?
and upgrade.
Don't blame us for taking action."
Brother Long and his underlings laughed evilly.
Chapter
They
920.
extended their hands
After
toward
filling
Schwer.
all 20 empty
Schwer
spots
was
in the
so
2-star
frightened that she
myriad
shrunk her
treasure
body
pavilion,
and cried for help.
Qin Feng
Help.
tossed in 10
Is there
low-grade
anyone?
spirit
Help
stones
me.
as energy for
Bang.
the storage.
A loud
and
explosion
retreated
sounded.
with satisfaction.
This was specially
Little
arranged
pig,
by the film
have you
crew.
gathered all the
They set up a
materials
small
for the cosmic
thunderclap
flying
that gave
sword?
Qin Feng a
Qin
fright.
Feng asked.
Qin Feng
After
quickly
this batch of
regained his
materials
senses.
has been
He
stored and
leaped into the
upgraded.
crowd and held
It'll be
Schwer
more
or
or less
slender
complete.
waist.
I'm
He
only
looked at
missing
Brother
the
Long
last
and his
important
underlings and
material.
yelled, "The Saint
You
Soul
bastards.
Stone! How
The
dare
new
you
batch
take
of
liberties
materials
with a young
was
woman
estimated
in
to
broad
be able to
daylight?
be upgraded
How dare
within
you
a
take
month?
liberties with
That
a young
would be
girl?
half a month
Today
earlier than the time
great
to
hero
challenge the
Qin
divine
Feng,
dragon.
will teach you a
In
lesson.
terms of time,
There
Qin
was
Feng
still
held
time
Schwer
to forge the
in
cosmic
one
flying
hand
sword
and a sheath
However,
longsword in
what
the
the
other.
hell was the last
film
missing
crew
material?
hurriedly used a
The
fan
Saint
to
Soul
blow
Stone.
Qin Feng's hair.
What's the Saint
Qin
Soul
Feng's
Stone?
fake hair
Where can I
fluttered
get
even
it?
though there was no
Qin
wind.
Feng hastily
The
asked
underlings
Little
of Hong
Pig.
sect could
Now,
not bear to
the
look
Saint
at
Soul
Qin Feng's
Stone
face.
was the only
Ao
material
Xiaowan
needed
rushed
to
forward
forge the
because it was
cosmic
her
flying
turn.
sword.
You
Qin
ugly
Feng was a
monster.
little impatient.
How dare you meddle in my
Master,
business?
The Saint Soul
I'll give you a
Stone
chance
is a very
to
rare
kowtow
and
and
precious
admit your
Saint
mistake.
Stone.
Legend
Otherwise,
has
I'll
it
teach
that
you a
it's a
lesson.
type of spirit stone
Qin
used
Feng
by
hadn't
Nuwa
seen
to
Ao
mend the
Xiaowan
heavens.
for a long time.
This stone can
He didn't
allow the
expect
master
this
to
girl to
communicate
return
with
to
the
her
spiritual
original hot
weapon he
personality.
forged, and
The
reach
image
the
of Ao
stage of
Xiaowan
becoming one
pretending
with
to
the
be a
sword.
pure and
If you
virtuous
want to
lady
control the
flashed in
cosmic
Qin
flying
Feng's
sword
mind.
to fly and
Qin
kill
Feng
with the
was so
sword,
scared that he
you must
hurriedly
add the
shook
Saint
his head.
Soul Stone
He
during the
didn't dare to
forging
think
process.
about it anymore.
Qin
You
Feng
stupid
understood
girl.
the importance
How
of the
dare you
Saint
say
Soul
that
Stone.
the great
Without
hero
the
Qin
Saint Soul
Feng am
Stone,
ugly.
the
I think
cosmic
there's something
flying
wrong
sword
with
would
your
be a
taste.
spiritual weapon
Others
similar
might
to
be
a
afraid of
purple-grade
Ao
equipment.
Xiaowan, but Qin
Where
Feng
can I
was
find the
not.
Saint Soul Stone?
I'm not sure about that. It's another matter whether you have it on Earth or not, Little Pig said with a pout. Qin Feng was taken aback. Why did Little Pig's words sound so awkward? What do you mean we're on Earth? Which planet did you come from? Qin Feng questioned Little Pig. Then, he saw a purple ring-shaped electric light hovering above Little Pig's head. Qin Feng became more and more curious about the system. Could this thing have fallen to Earth from another planet? However, no matter how Qin Feng interrogated, Little Pig refused to say anything. At the same time, Rao Sherman and Zhang Kuku were sitting on the sofa in the living room, chatting about private matters. Sister Ling was resting in the inner room. Only Rao Sherman and Zhang Kuku were in the living room. They were dressed casually and nestled on the sofa. Kiki, what do you think of Zhang
Shui. Rao Sherman didn't know what was wrong with her recently. Every time she had free time, Zheng Shui's face would appear in her mind, and the topic of conversation would always be Zheng Shui. Zhang Keka's skirt was lifted to her waist. This was her style of sleeping on the sofa. Zhang Keka muttered as she ate the grapes. Big bro Zheng Shui is a good person. He's handsome, rich, skilled, and has a high social status. I really admire him. Rao Sherman rolled her eyes. She thought Zhang Keka was talking nonsense again. How was Zheng Shui handsome? I don't see how rich he is. Is he skilled? How is his status high? Rao Sherman felt that Zhang Kuku's evaluation of Zheng Shuai was not even close. But Zhang Kuku felt that every word Zhang Kuku used was extremely accurate, because they were talking about two completely different identities. These few days, Zhang Kuku had been secretly observing Qin Feng. From time to time, she would touch Qin Feng's face or call Zheng Shuai teacher Qiao Feng, or Qin Feng. After some observation, Zhang Kuku was 99% sure that Zheng Shuai was an alias used by Qin Feng. Don't think I won't recognize you just because you jumped into the sea and put on a disguise. Let me tell you, I'm Detective Kiki. However, Rao Sherman didn't realize this. It was not that she was stupid, but she had been in a dilemma lately. She already had Qin Feng in her heart, but Zheng Shuai's position was slowly taken away. This kind of feeling was torturous, especially for a conservative and devoted woman like Rao Sherman. Although nothing had happened between Rao Sherman and Zheng Shuai, Rao Sherman felt as if she was having an affair. Sherman, you've been talking about big bro Zheng Shuai lately. Do you like him? I'll call him over now, and you can confess your love to him. Big bro Zheng Shuai will definitely say yes to you. Zhang Kuku threw away the half-eaten grapes and ran out of the sofa excitedly. Rao Sherman was so scared that she almost had a heart attack. She hastily stopped Zhang Kuku. You damn girl, when did I say something like that? If you dare to go out, don't even think about coming back today. Zhang Kuku's hand was already on the door handle. She hesitated for a moment before she ran back to Rao Sherman and sat down beside her. Sherman, how can you go back on your words? You're wrong. Since young, our teachers and parents have taught us to be an honest child. Zhang Kuku put on a straight face and lectured Rao Sherman in a lecturing tone. Rao Sherman wished she could kick this silly girl away. What do you mean by going back on my words? I've never said anything like that. You're the one who forced it on me. Rao Sherman was so anxious that her face turned red. She was afraid that Zhang Kuku would tell Zheng Shuai about it. Sherman, do you like big bro Zheng Shuai or not? Zhang Kuku grumbled. I don't like him. Rao Sherman felt a little guilty when she said those words. How can you not like big bro Zheng Shuai? How can you not like him? What's going to happen to Kuku? My future happiness is gone. Zhang Kuku was so anxious that she started to pull her hair. Rao Sherman rolled her eyes. It's my business whether I like him or not. What has it got to do with your happiness? Hurry up and take your medicine. Rao Sherman felt that Zhang Kuku was going crazy again. This girl would feel uncomfortable if she didn't go crazy at least 3 times a day. On the other hand, Zhang Kuku was very serious. How could she be crazy? Zhang Kuku knew that Zheng Shuai was Zheng Shuai. That was why she wanted to matchmake Rao Sherman with Zheng Shuai. Zhang Kuku had said that Sherman would be in charge of finding a boyfriend from now on. Zhang Kuku planned to compromise herself and share a boyfriend with Rao Sherman. Of course it has something to do with my happiness. If you're with Zheng Shuai, then I'll be with Zheng Shuai too. Zhang Kuku said seriously. Rao Sherman held her forehead. She felt that it was impossible to persuade Zhang Kuku with a normal mind. Rao Sherman changed her approach. Don't think about me and Zheng Shuai. It's impossible between us. Haven't you noticed? Zheng Shuai comes out of Ma Xinxin's room every morning, so I'm sure they're together. Qin Feng came out of Ma Xinxin's room every day, but he didn't sleep with Ma Xinxin at night. Qin Feng went to Ma Xinxin's room early in the morning and absorbed the poisonous gas in Ma Xinxin's body. After that, the two of them went out for a meal. However, he bumped into Rao Sherman and Zhang Kuku a few times and was misunderstood by Rao Sherman. Zhang Kuku curled her lips and said nonchalantly, It's fine even if they have an affair. Zheng Shuai is not only having an affair with Ma Xinxin, he has affairs with many other women. You know that. Zhang Kuku was referring to Qin Feng. She knew that Qin Feng had affairs with teacher Chang Xian, Hua Yan, Lu Bingbing, and even Dongfang Qing Shui when she went to Provincial Capital University for her concert. Rao Sherman was on the verge of a mental breakdown. She wished she could pry open Zhang Kuku's brain and see what was inside. Rao Sherman could not understand Zhang Kuku's words, so she decided to ignore her. I'm going to take a shower now. You can continue your crazy ramblings. Rao Sherman was drenched in cold sweat after being interrogated by Zhang Kuku. The sound of running water could be heard from the bathroom. Zhang Kuku sat on the sofa and rolled her eyes. Suddenly, she took out her phone and made a call with a smile on her face. "I'm sorry, you've called the wrong number." Qin Feng received a call from Zhang Kuku just when he was done planning his next 2 months. Qin Feng hung up the call before Zhang Kuku could say anything. Qin Feng patted his chest and heaved a sigh of relief. He knew Zhang Kuku's illness must be acting up again since she called him at this hour. Qin Feng's cell phone rang again before he could breathe a sigh of relief. It was Rao Sherman. Hee. "Sherman, what's the matter?" Qin Feng changed his attitude, and his voice was as gentle as water. Heavy breathing could be heard from the other end of the phone. Then, Zhang Kuku complained, "Stupid Qin Feng. Stupid Qin Feng. Why did you hang up on me the moment you answered my call? Why did you try to please Sherman after you answered her call?" The corner of Qin Feng's mouth twitched. It was too late for him to hang up now. However, in the next second, Qin Feng's expression changed as he realized another serious problem. "Haha, so it's Kuku. Did you call me just now? I don't know. Also, who were you scolding just now? Qin Feng? Who's that?" Zhang Kuku blurted out Qin Feng's name out of excitement. Since Qin Feng refused to admit it, Zhang Kuku stopped calling him by that name. "Stop pretending, Zheng Shuai. You answered my call and said I called the wrong number. Did you forget to save my number? How could you do this? You're discriminating against me. I can sue you in court." Qin Feng regretted answering Rao Sherman's call. He should have given it more thought. Rao Sherman called him right after Zhang Kuku's call. It was obviously a trap. "When did I discriminate against you? Don't accuse an innocent person," Qin Feng said seriously. "You only answered Sherman's call but not mine. Isn't it because my breasts are too big, and you look down on a beauty with big breasts like me? You're discriminating against me," Zhang Kuku said in a more serious tone than Qin Feng. The corner of Qin Feng's mouth twitched. He thought he was already shameless enough. Today, he finally met someone more shameless than him. How could she praise him indirectly? "Ahem. Kuku, I'm busy. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up now." "Oh, so you're busy? Go ahead then. Sherman asked me to invite you to play games with me. I'll reject her on your behalf." "Ah, I almost forgot. I'm done with my work. Are you guys in your rooms? I'll go and find you guys now." Zhang Kuku gritted her teeth when she heard the busy tone on the phone. What's wrong with Qin Feng's eyes? How am I worse than Sherman? Chapter 921. Zhang Kuku was infuriated. The consequences of her anger were terrifying. In a fit of rage, Zhang Kuku took off her spaghetti strap dress and paced back and forth in her underwear. Zhang Kuku planned to ask Qin Feng whether her breasts were big or not. Barely half a minute after Qin Feng hung up the phone, Zhang Kuku heard the sound of the door ringing. "Ayo. Sorry, wrong room. Holy shit, Kiki, are you guys having a lingerie show?" As soon as the door opened, Qin Feng was so scared that he prepared to leave. He saw a woman in only her underwear standing at the door and thought he knocked on the wrong door. However, when he took a closer look, he realized that it was the crazy Zhang Kuku. Zhang Kuku didn't mind being stared at by Qin Feng at all. She even puffed out her chest on purpose. She wanted to show off the most prominent part of her body and let Qin Feng know her advantage. "Big brother Zheng Shuai, coming quickly. It's not good to let others see me like this." In any case, Zhang Kuku still had a bottom line. She was only willing to let Qin Feng look at her. But no other man could. Qin Feng stood at the door and hesitated for a long time. Qin Feng didn't dare to enter. He was afraid that this was another trap set by Zhang Kuku. He couldn't understand this woman's thoughts at all. "Brother Zheng Shuai, coming quickly." Zhang Kuku's voice was seductive, and she struck a sexy pose. Her long legs were so long that they almost reached her neck. Qin Feng didn't dare to look at Zhang Kuku's breasts because they were too magnificent. Qin Feng thought that Zhang Kuku's bra was too small. "Ahem. Where's Sherman?" "Sherman has gone out. I'm the only woman in the house. Come in and play with me." Zhang Kuku winked at Qin Feng and waved at him. That scene was weird to Qin Feng.
I suddenly remembered that there's something I need to deal with. I'll come back later. He didn't dare to stay in the same room with Zhang Kuku. He was afraid that Zhang Kuku would push him down. Aya, I'm just teasing you. Sherman is here too. Come on in. Zhang Kiki complained angrily. What was wrong with Qin Feng's eyes? He doesn't even want a big-breasted beauty like me for free. Was there something wrong with this man? If he wasn't sick in the head, then his lower body was sick. Kuku, it's winter. Hurry up and put on your clothes. Don't catch a cold. Qin Feng couldn't help but shift his gaze between Zhang Kuku's perky buttocks and chest. Zhang Kuku was comforted by Qin Feng's passionate gaze. She giggled and said, "There's an air conditioner in the house. What are you afraid of? Why don't I take off my bra too?" Io, Kiki, can you stop scaring me? What do you need my help with? I'll promise you everything, okay? Qin Feng was so scared that he almost knelt down. This woman couldn't have installed a camera in the room, taken off her clothes to seduce him, and then accused him of rape, right? Zhang Kuku pouted unhappily. She suddenly pounced on Qin Feng and said, "Then watch TV with me. I want to ride on your neck." Qin Feng was really scared. He ran to the bathroom like a wisp of smoke. He planned to hide in the bathroom for a while and come out when Rao Sherman came. "Kiki, I'm having a stomachache. I'll go and squat for a while before accompanying you." Qin Feng had already rushed to the bathroom door. Zhang Kuku was so scared that she screamed, "Ah, Zheng Shuai, don't go in. Rao Sherman is taking a bath inside." Qin Feng was stunned at the bathroom door, but he quickly regained his composure. He was sure that Zhang Kuku was lying to him. He would never fall for her little tricks. "Sherman is taking a bath? That's great. I'll accompany her." Qin Feng grinned as he opened the bathroom door. Zhang Kuku was stunned by Qin Feng's words. She thought Qin Feng was a great gentleman, but it turned out that he was so wretched when he revealed his fox's tail. Qin Feng stood at the bathroom door, with one of his feet dangling in the air. He was completely dumbfounded when he saw the scene in the bathroom. Rao Sherman is really taking a bath. "Ah, Didi, get out of here. Close your eyes." Rao Sherman's shriek came from the bathroom. Zhang Kuku covered her ears because it was too scary. Qin Feng did not react to it, because he was too captivated by the beautiful scenery in front of him. "Ah, Zheng Shuai, save me." It was evident that Rao Sherman had just finished her bath. Her body was covered with sparkling water droplets, and the floor was also wet. Rao Sherman slipped and fell into Qin Feng's arms. Qin Feng did not think too much. He instinctively extended his arms and hugged Rao Sherman's body tightly. Her skin was smooth and her fragrance assailed his nostrils. He felt like he was dreaming. "Ah, hurry up and carry me to my room. I am cold." Rao Sherman's body was shivering. Qin Feng didn't know if she was shivering because of the cold or fear. When Qin Feng regained his consciousness, he couldn't help but peek at Rao Sherman in his arms. Rao Sherman's skin was as fair as snow with a tinge of pink. Her face was even more beautiful than a lotus flower. She was definitely a stunner. Qin Feng calmed himself down. Now was not the time to act recklessly. He hastily pulled a bath towel and draped it over Rao Sherman. Then, he carried her to the sofa in the living room. "Qin Feng, why you peeped at Sherman while she was bathing? Why you're too shameless?" Zhang Kuku glared at Qin Feng with righteous indignation. Rao Sherman did not even care about Zhang Kuku's name. She was so embarrassed that she wished she could dig a hole and hide in it. "I'll go to my room. Don't peep." Rao Sherman immediately ran to her room after lying down on the sofa. When she passed by Zhang Kuku, she almost tripped again. "Kuku, what are you doing? Hurry up and put on your clothes." Rao Sherman reminded Zhang Kuku before she ran back to her room. She didn't care whether Zhang Kuku was willing to put on her clothes or not. The living room suddenly became quiet. Qin Feng and Zhang Kuku stared at each other. The atmosphere became strange. "Kuku, did you trick me on purpose?" Qin Feng was so angry that his nose became crooked. He knew that Zhang Kuku was up to no good, but he didn't expect that he would still fall into this girl's trap. Zhang Kuku felt wronged. She didn't trick Qin Feng. She warned Qin Feng that there was someone in the bathroom. It was Qin Feng who barged into the bathroom. "You pervert. You're the one who peeped at Sherman bathing. And you put the shit on Kuku's head."
Kuku's head is for arranging flowers. Zhang Kuku pouted and glared at Qin Feng. Qin Feng carried Zhang Kuku and threw her on the sofa. You still don't want to admit it? Let's see how stubborn you can be. Qin Feng pressed Zhang Kuku's shoulder with one hand and scratched her flat belly with the other. He finally found a way to subdue Zhang Kuku. It turned out that this girl was afraid of tickling. Zhang Kuku was so amused that tears rolled down her cheeks. She struggled on the sofa with all her might. The sofa cushion and sofa cover were kicked away by Zhang Kuku, but Qin Feng refused to stop. Do you admit that you tricked me? When Sherman comes out later, you'll have to admit your mistake to her and clear my name, Qin Feng said sternly. Haha, I didn't do anything wrong. It's your lust. Haha, stop it now. Kuku's stomach is hurting from laughing so hard. You're a bad woman. If you don't want to confess, I'll increase your punishment. To prevent Zhang Kuku's slender legs from kicking, Qin Feng clamped her legs between his legs. Then, he pressed Zhang Kuku's shoulder with one hand and increased the strength of his other hand. Zhang Kuku's legs could no longer kick, and her upper body was restrained by Qin Feng. She was laughing so hard that she couldn't speak even if she wanted to confess. What are you guys doing? Zheng Shuai, let go of Kuku. Rao Sherman walked out of the living room. She was dressed in conservative black pajamas. When she saw the scene unfolding in the living room, she was so shocked that her eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Qin Feng hastily stopped. Only then did he realize that Zhang Kuku had lost her undergarments due to her overexertion. Sob. Sherman, you have to stand up for Kuku. It was Qin Feng who wanted to peep at you bathing, but he forced Kuku to take the blame. Zhang Kuku didn't even notice that she was naked. She ran to Rao Sherman and twisted her waist to act coquettishly. Rao Sherman quickly covered Zhang Kuku with the wool blanket on the sofa. Then, she scolded Zheng Shuai with a cold expression. This Zheng Shuai is too outrageous today. How dare he come into my room and act like a beast? Rao Sherman swallowed the words that were on the tip of her tongue. Rao Sherman was struck by a bolt of lightning. Suddenly she realized something. She stared at Zhang Kuku and asked, What did you call Zheng Shuai just now? What? Qin Feng? Zhang Kuku felt that there was no need to hide it anymore. There was another important reason. Even Zhang Kuku herself wasn't sure whether Zheng Shuai was Qin Feng or not. She wanted to confirm it now. Zheng Shuai had seen the two women's naked bodies today. If she could confirm that Zheng Shuai was not Qin Feng, she could kill him to silence him. Why you're Qin Feng? Really? As soon as Rao Sherman heard the name Qin Feng, her entire being felt strange. Her tall and slender body trembled, and there was a suppressed excitement in her voice. Qin Feng hesitated. He didn't know if it was a good or bad idea to reveal his identity now. Before Qin Feng could finish his words, Zhang Kuku fished out a fireball talisman and pressed it on Qin Feng's head. She said, Tell me, are you Qin Feng's disguise? If you're not Qin Feng, I'll chant the incantation right now. I am. Qin Feng answered without hesitation. What other choice did he have? Rao Sherman slapped her forehead and dragged Zhang Kuku away with a huff. She looked at Zheng Shuai again and asked, Are you really Qin Feng? Sherman, I'm on a mission this time, so I'm using Zheng Shuai's identity as a celebrity. I didn't reveal my identity to you when you and Kuku went to Provincial Capital University for a concert. I was very happy when I saw you. I wanted to get close to you, but I didn't want to scare you. I didn't expect that we would film a movie together in Hong Kong. Rao Sherman's body trembled more and more violently after Qin Feng said a lot of sweet nothings. Rao Sherman had forgotten how long it had been since she last saw Qin Feng. They had not seen each other since she went to Acropolis City for the opening of Cloud City Hua Manor Phase 2. Chapter 922. Rao Sherman had always missed Qin Feng because Qin Feng meant a lot to her. When Rao Sherman was very young, it was Qin Feng who encouraged her to pursue her music career. Both of them reunited in Hong Kong after half a year of separation. At this moment, Rao Sherman was so excited that she couldn't speak. No wonder he admired teacher Qiao Feng. And no wonder he had a favorable impression of Zheng Shuai. It turned out that both of them were Qin Feng.
Haha. I told you Zheng Shuai is Qin Feng. Hurry up and change your face. Zhang Kuku was so excited that she danced with joy. Now, Qin Feng and Rao Sherman could be together, and she could share Qin Feng with Rao Sherman. Zhang Kuku had reached the age to talk about marriage. However, she didn't like dating, and had never found a man that she liked. On the other hand, Zhang Kuku had a good impression of Uncle Qiao Feng, so she decided to let Qin Feng take advantage of her in the future. The reunion of lovers was supposed to be a beautiful scene, but Qin Feng's face darkened after hearing Zhang Kuku's words. Do you think I'm an opera actor who can change my face whenever you want? I can't. Can you stop rubbing your feet against my pants? My pants are torn. Qin Feng glared at Zhang Kuku. Zhang Kuku pouted and stood on the sofa. She was a head taller than Qin Feng. She stuck the fireball talisman on Qin Feng's forehead and said, I don't care. Hurry up and change your face, or I'll chant a spell. Qin Feng almost fainted from anger. Rao Sherman quickly pulled Zhang Kuku away. After listening to Qin Feng's words, Rao Sherman believed that the Zheng Shuai in front of her was Qin Feng. This was because only Qiao Feng knew some things about Provincial Capital University. Not long ago, Qin Feng had announced 3 identities, and one of them was Qiao Feng. Sherman, you're getting more and more beautiful. Qin Feng and Rao Sherman ignored Zhang Kuku. Qin Feng took a step forward and embraced Rao Sherman. Rao Sherman's delicate body trembled. She was so nervous that her heart almost jumped out of her throat. It had been a long time since she was hugged by a man. Her heart raced as if it was her first love. Rao Sherman didn't struggle. She slowly calmed down. Qin Feng's warm embrace made her forget all her worries. Both of them were a golden couple. Moreover, they had not seen each other for a long time. Qin Feng slowly moved his face closer to Rao Sherman and kissed her. Big brother Qin Feng, do you think Kuku is pretty? Qin Feng was 1 centimeter away from kissing her when he suddenly felt someone kick his butt. No. Qin Feng turned around and glared at Zhang Kuku before he kissed Rao Sherman. Nonsense. Everyone said that I'm pretty. Zhang Kuku kicked Qin Feng again at this critical moment. Nonsense. Good, you've grown prettier. Feng, is it because your nose is higher, your eyes are bigger, and your chest is perkier? Qin Feng had no choice but to let go of Rao Sherman's slender waist. He realized that Zhang Kuku was deliberately causing trouble. Qin Feng's Lin's man's Qin Feng had Feng. Zhang Qing Feng Shan. Ku Feng had Feng's Feng by Feng's Ku Feng. Zhang Kuku pouted and kicked Qin Feng's legs. I don't want to go back to the house. I want to stay here. We still have business to attend to. It's not convenient for you to stay here. Qin Feng chased Zhang Kuku away. Why is this girl so blind? The sofa over there is spacious. Go ahead and do it. Don't worry. I won't say a word, and I won't tell anyone. Rao Sherman was embarrassed to death by Zhang Kuku's words. The desire in her heart vanished. She held Zhang Kuku's arm and sat on the sofa. Qin Feng, let's watch TV. Rao Sherman said shyly. Okay. The Teletubbies are here. Let's watch it together. Zhang Kuku turned on the TV and watched the Teletubbies. Rao Sherman didn't like it. But Qin Feng didn't want to do anything flirtatious, since she was sitting beside Zhang Kuku. Zhang Kuku was infuriated by Qin Feng. This girl is really a burden. I must think of a way to get rid of her. Qin Feng watched cartoons in his room for the whole afternoon. He was so depressed that he almost died. In the end, he still couldn't find a chance to be alone with Rao Sherman. Zhang Kuku, on the other hand, was overjoyed. She giggled from time to time. Rao Sherman's mind was clearly not on the cartoon. She stole glances at Qin Feng from time to time. Every time their eyes met, Rao Sherman shyly avoided Qin Feng's gaze like a startled little deer. Ever since Qin Feng revealed his identity to the pretty girls duo, Rao Sherman and Zhang Kuku had become more intimate with Qin Feng. This made Ma Xinqin depressed. Previously, Rao Sherman had always rejected Qin Feng whenever he asked for more sex scenes. However, in the past few days of filming, whenever Qin Feng asked for sex scenes, Rao Sherman would lie on the bed with Qin Feng and roll around him without a second thought. Although the scenes were fake, and they didn't really have sex, they hugged and touched each other. Ma Xinqin went back to the hotel every day with a belly full of resentment.
She even wanted Mr. Gu to give her the role of the female lead in the film. Ma Xinxin went back to the hotel every day with a stomach full of resentment. Zhang Kuku, Rao Sherman, and Ao Shaoan fought to have sex scenes with Qin Feng every day. However, Shui was as cold as ever. She rejected Qin Feng's rude request every time and distanced herself from Qin Feng. After 10 days of shooting in Hong Kong, Qin Feng and Rao Sherman had finished half of the movie. According to the script, the other half of the movie would be shot in America. After shooting the movie in Hong Kong, Boss Gu invited all the crew members and the main cast to a private room. Qin Feng and the other superstars sat in a private room, and Boss Gu toasted them one by one. Superstar Zheng Shui, I'm so happy to meet you. I've been in China's film industry for more than 10 years, and I've made countless superstars famous. However, I've never seen a superstar who can reach your level of professionalism and superb acting skills. I'm not bragging. I've never seen a superstar like you before. Boss Gu was extremely agitated, as if he had vented all his pent-up emotions. Hey Gu, what about me? What about me? How's my acting and professionalism? Everyone knew that Boss Gu was being sarcastic. However, since he had been very obedient lately, no one dared to argue with him. Zhang Kuku jumped up and down stupidly. She couldn't wait for Boss Gu to praise her. Boss Gu was stunned for a moment. Then he laughed loudly. Aha! Superstar Kuku is even better than Zheng Shui. Really? This is my first time acting. It seems like Kuku is born to be an all-rounder. Zhang Kuku was so excited that she danced with joy. The others were amused by her silly behavior. Ao Shaoan also attended the banquet. When he heard Boss Gu cursing in front of him, he was instantly displeased. Hey Gu, what the fuck are you talking about? Do you believe that I won't smash your head with a bottle of wine? Boss Gu drank some wine and wanted to vent his anger. However, just as he raised his voice, he was frightened by Ao Shaoan's roar. Hee hee, Miss Wan, I am sorry. I was just too happy, so you can't do that even if you're happy. Only big brother Zheng Shui can curse. No one else can, not even me. Ever since Ao Shaoan met Qin Feng, she went to the set every day and spoiled Qin Feng. Later on, everyone in the set was afraid of offending Qin Feng. They had to use honorifics when speaking to Qin Feng, and think carefully about every word they used. Boss Gu grumbled in his heart and muttered, Didn't you curse when you scolded me just now? Ao Shaoan sat back down and jumped up angrily. She slammed the table and glared at Boss Gu. What are you muttering about? When the fuck have I ever said such vulgar words? Boss Gu was so scared that she swallowed her saliva and said with a smile, And no. Ao Shaoan sat back down with satisfaction. She immediately took Qin Feng's arm and leaned on his shoulder like a little bird. She said sweetly, Big brother Zheng Shui, what do you want to eat? I'm going to feed you. Boss Gu couldn't stay any longer. He ran to the private room of the working group to show off. In that room, he was the boss. Rao Sherman and Ma Xinxin were also stunned by Ao Shaoan's changing behavior. They ate a few mouthfuls of food and couldn't eat anymore. Shui stood up and left halfway through her meal. She had been a loner recently, so everyone was used to it. But this time, when Shui walked to Qin Feng's side, she suddenly stopped. Mr. Zheng Shui, are you free tonight? Come to my room later. I want to have a private chat with you. Shui left after saying that. When Ao Shaoan came back to his senses and wanted to fight with Shui, he found that Shui was gone. Zhang Kuku and Ao Shaoan started to badmouth Shui. Rao Sherman and Ma Xinxin were a little unhappy, but they hid it in their hearts and didn't say it out loud. Qin Feng put down his chopsticks and leaned back in his chair. He had lost his appetite and was thinking about the reason why Shui suddenly asked him to go. Qin Feng had been investigating Shui recently. He was 90% sure that Shui was the owner of the sovereign star system. Qin Feng was also sure that Shui had also discovered that he was the owner of the sovereign star system. Otherwise, she wouldn't have suddenly distanced herself from him. This woman's behavior was becoming more and more abnormal. According to the mission issued by the Hedonist system, as long as he devoured the sovereign star system, he would be rewarded with 100,000 Hedonist points, a system unsealing tool, and a rare pink equipment lucky draw ticket. These rewards were extremely tempting and would be of great help to Qin Feng. Of course, Qin Feng wanted to devour Shui Er's system, but he was also worried that she would devour his system instead. Zheng Shui, what's wrong? Rao Sherman asked worriedly when she saw Qin Feng was in a daze. Ah, haha, I'm fine. Alright, I have something to do. You guys continue eating. Qin Feng came back to his senses, stood up, and walked outside. He had decided that he would complete this mission sooner or later. Qin Feng wanted to go to Shui Er's room now. Would this woman bite? Zongheng's double monthly votes event has been activated. You can vote now. Chapter 923. This fickle-minded stinky man should be struck to death by lightning. Ma Xinxin complained as soon as Qin Feng left. Ma Xinxin was not the only one who misunderstood Qin Feng. Rao Sherman, Zhang Kuku, and Ao Shaowan all had the same thought. Qin Feng had nothing to do but flirt with Shui Er. How dare he flirt with girls when he's so ugly? Zhang Kuku never held back when she spoke ill of Qin Feng behind his back. However, she began to act cute and innocent in front of Qin Feng. That girl is called Shui Er, right? I'll ask the people of the Hong sect to kick her out of Hong Kong tomorrow. Ao Shaowan had the air of a big sister. When she flared up, the other three girls were a little nervous. Rao Sherman was also a little annoyed, but she didn't say it out loud. These four beauties represented four different personalities. Qin Feng sneezed as he walked along the street. He thought he might have caught a cold last night. I must cover myself with a quilt tonight. You're here. Qin Feng rang the doorbell. Soon Shui Er opened the door. Qin Feng's gaze fell on Shui Er, and he was dazed for a moment. Cher had taken off her black fur coat, high heels and black leather pants. All that was left on her was a thin silk nightgown, with a shawl draped over her shoulders. Snow was pure and beautiful, and her body was hot and sexy. With these two temptations, any man who saw Snow at this moment would not be able to resist the urge to push her down. Miss Shui Er, are you going to bed? Will I disturb your rest if I look for you now? Qin Feng suppressed the evil fire in his belly. This woman was not as simple as she looked. If he fell into her trap, he wouldn't even know how he died. A complicated expression flashed across Shui Er's beautiful eyes when she saw the evil fire flashing in Qin Feng's eyes. She didn't expect Qin Feng to be so strong-willed. Haha, even if I want to sleep, I'll accompany you no matter how late it is since the superstar Zheng Shui is here. Shui Er stretched out her slender, jade-like hand and placed it on Qin Feng's arm, pulling him into the house. Qin Feng was not in the mood to enjoy the softness and smoothness of Snow's arms. He was constantly on guard against this woman's every move. If Snow did anything threatening, Qin Feng would subdue her mercilessly. It wasn't that Qin Feng didn't know how to have tender and protective feelings for the fairer sex. His momentary kindness could very well cause him to be buried in a sea of fire. Miss Shui Er, we're just friends. Don't you think it's a little inappropriate for you to be so close to me? Qin Feng looked at Shui Er with a smile. Recently, Shui Er had been keeping her distance from Qin Feng. Tonight, however, she seemed to have changed into a different person. She was as passionate as fire. As the saying goes, there must be a reason behind everything. Superstar Zheng Shui, you already said that we're friends, so you don't have to be so polite. Just treat yourself as if you're at home when you're here. I just want to greet you warmly, lest your crazy Zheng Shui fans eat me alive if I don't treat you well. Shui Er's coquettish voice carried a slight Beijing accent, causing Qin Feng to become even more wary. This woman had indeed grown up in the capital. In the capital, Qin Feng had too many enemies to count. The two of them sat on the sofa. Shui Er didn't sit next to Qin Feng. Instead, she sat across from him. However, this woman intentionally half-bent her upper body and pulled down the neckline of her red spaghetti-strap dress, revealing a dazzling expanse of snow white. Beautiful Shui Er, did you call me over in the middle of the night to show me your chest? Qin Feng stared at Shui Er's chest with a smile. Shui Er's pretty face turned red with a whoosh. Qin Feng saw a flash of coldness in the depths of her eyes, as well as an almost imperceptible murderous intent. Haha, you're so naughty, staring at my private parts. You're not doing this on purpose. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the nerve to look. Qin Feng was trying to think of a way to infuriate Shui Er. Then there's no point in just looking. Why don't you feel it? Shui Er's beautiful, starry eyes shone with a demonic light. Qin Feng put on a pig face and pretended to lose his soul. How do I feel it? You're so annoying. How else can I feel it? Just a touch or a kiss will do. Shui Er was as shy as a little girl in love for the first time. However, most people couldn't see the coldness hidden within her. Ha! See then can I suck it? Qin Feng's mouth was wide open, and his saliva was dripping out. A deep sense of disgust flashed through Shui Er's eyes. She was on the verge of exploding. However, she quickly maintained her seductive expression and said shyly, "See then you have to be gentler. No, otherwise it'll hurt." Qin Feng was taken aback. He said excitedly, "Do you want to kiss me?" "Sure." Gentler." Just as Shui Er finished speaking, Qin Feng's dragon claw reached out. Shui Er shrieked in pain, and tears welled up in her eyes. What are you doing? Shui Er was enraged. She slapped Qin Feng's pig trotter away. "Didn't you tell me to kiss you? I'm going to touch you first. I'll kiss you after I get the feeling," Qin Feng said with a straight face. Shui Er rolled her eyes. After a long while she said, "Didn't I tell you to be gentler?" "Yeah, gentler." Qin Feng looked at Shui Er, as if she was an idiot. "Did you touch the wrong spot?" Shui Er was stunned for half a minute. She finally understood what Qin Feng was talking about. Shui Er was so angry that her snow-white skin flushed red. "You're a singer, and I like music as well. Let me play a song for you." The atmosphere froze for a moment. Then, Shui Er walked to the corner of the living room. She opened the curtains and placed a guzheng behind it. I didn't expect the beautiful Shui Er to know how to play the guzheng. Qin Feng looked at Shui Er with a smile, but he was already on high alert. Shui Er did not speak. She sat down in front of the guzheng with a cold expression. She plucked the strings with her index finger, and a beautiful melody reverberated in the room. Thump, thump, thump. This was a very beautiful song, but Qin Feng had never heard it before. In fact, the melody was a little strange. It didn't sound like a song of this era. It had a deep and distant feel to it. Shui Er seemed to have transformed into another person as she played the guzheng. Her aura changed subtly, and the light in her eyes became more bewitching. Her long hair fluttered even though there was no wind. It was as if a white-haired witch was playing the soul lullaby. That's right, the melody was called the soul lullaby. Qin Feng sat on the sofa. When the song started playing, he felt an invisible force pulling him in. Qin Feng entered an illusory space. He was the only person inside. He couldn't hear the sounds of the outside world. His mind kept reverberating with the tune of the soul-luring song. Qin Feng realized that he had been tricked. He tried his best to bring his consciousness back to reality, but Qin Feng found that it was all in vain. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get rid of the demonic voice in his head. The soul lullaby was a demonic tune. It was a high-level offensive skill of the demon race. Other demonic tunes included the lion's roar, thousand-mile voice transmission, and the tsunami roar of the black tortoise. Recently, Qin Feng had been thinking about Shui Er's attack style. That was because Snow's body didn't emit any energy waves. She wasn't even a martial artist, so how could she defeat him? Now, Qin Feng understood that Shui Er used demonic tunes to attack him. This soul lullaby was probably a high-level skill Shui Er obtained from the Sovereign Superstar system. However, it was too late by the time Qin Feng realized this. Even though Qin Feng had put up a lot of defenses, he didn't expect Cher to use this method to trick him. Qin Feng felt his consciousness fading away. He couldn't even control the basic movements of his limbs. If Shui Er tried to harm Qin Feng, or devoured his hedonist sovereign system, Qin Feng wouldn't be able to fight back. "Master, wake up. You can't fall asleep. Master, focus. Don't listen to that woman's demonic tunes." Shimen Shui Shui and Ouyang Feng's anxious screams suddenly resounded in Qin Feng's mind. However, he could only hear them. He couldn't answer them, and he couldn't pull himself back to reality. The flaming golden eagle and glacial snow mastiff also sensed danger. The two spiritual beasts roared angrily, trying to use their roars to wake their master up. Master, hurry. Hurry up and use demon sound roar. Qin Feng felt his eyelids getting heavier and heavier. Just as he was about to close his eyes, Little Pig's shriek reached his ears. Qin Feng's eyes lit up. He suddenly remembered the demon sound roar. Roar. Qin Feng used all his strength to roar. However, his roar was as soft as a mosquito's. Qin Feng didn't give up. He roared again and again. The information about the demon sound roar flooded Qin Feng's mind. The unfamiliar information made Qin Feng's head hurt. Roar. Qin Feng opened his mouth and let out a low roar like a dying dog. Roar, roar. This time, Qin Feng roared like a tiger coming down the mountain. Qin Feng felt his body quickly regaining its senses. His consciousness also became clearer. The scene in front of him was no longer a void under the starry sky. The sofa, the television, the floorboards, and the floor-to-ceiling windows all became clear. Roar. Qin Feng suddenly stood up and regained control of his body. Qin Feng roared with all his might. The entire room seemed to shake slightly, and the floorboards made creaking sounds. This was no longer the roar of a wild beast. It was more like a muffled thunder that struck down from the sky. The muffled thunder crashed into the living room, startling Shui Er so much that she broke a few notes of the soul lullaby she was playing. Qin Feng stood ramrod straight like a towering mountain. His black eyes were like an awakened lion, emitting a steady and cold murderous aura. Chapter 924. Snow panicked. She was a master of the zither, calm as still water. She could play a song fluently and smoothly. However, after Qin Feng's demonic roar appeared, it completely disrupted Shui Er's state of mind. Her fingers became stiff, and her tune was cut off. The demonic tune became disorganized and lost its original power. Qin Feng glared at Snow like a starving beast glaring at a plump sheep. Qin Feng's demonic roar did not stop. Instead, it became more and more ferocious. Rumble. The roar was as loud as thunder. It was as if the divine dragon in the sky had been angered and let out a dissatisfied roar. The clear night sky was suddenly filled with dark clouds, as if a thunderstorm was coming. Clang, clang, clang. The zither in front of Shui Er suddenly snapped, and the strings snapped one by one. One of the strings struck Shui Er's tender hand, and a few drops of blood dripped down. Snow, you're finally exposed. Qin Feng's voice was filled with uncontrollable excitement. Snow, who had been in an advantageous position, was now in a disadvantageous position. She was so frightened that her delicate body began to tremble. Don't hurt me, I beg you. Snow looked at Qin Feng pitifully. Shui Er, this is a society where the weak are prey to the strong. Don't blame me. When you tried to harm me just now, you didn't hold back at all. Qin Feng's voice was filled with a devilish quality. It was like the voice of a demon king. I only wanted to hypnotize you. I didn't want to kill you. Snow tried to defend herself, but Qin Feng did not believe her. It's too late to say that now. You're the first person I've met who has a system. I'm actually quite close to you. You should know that there aren't many systems on Earth. People like us are even rarer than martial artists, pharmacists, and spiritual beast masters. Then please spare me this time. I can give you a lot of benefits. Snow was so frightened that she fell on her butt and hid in a corner. Previously, she had received a notification from the Supreme Superstar system that there were other systems nearby. This was the first time Shui Er had encountered another system after obtaining the system. At the time, she had been even more shocked and afraid than Qin Feng. During this time, Shui Er had been investigating Qin Feng. In the end, she confirmed that Qin Feng was the owner of the Hedonist sovereign system. The Hedonist sovereign system was many times more powerful than the sovereign superstar system. And so, Shui Er began to distance herself from Qin Feng, on guard against him. Originally, the two of them did not have any grudges against each other. In fact, they were strangers who had never met before. However, due to personal reasons, Cher had no choice but to get close to Qin Feng. She knew that she could not defeat Qin Feng, so she could only use the soul-luring song to control him. Who would have thought that she would fail in the end? Qin Feng roared incessantly as he approached Shui Er step by step. The penetrating power of the demonic roar was extremely strong. Not only this room, but the entire Hong Kong International Hotel was filled with the tune of the demonic roar. Demon Sound Howl was a reward given to Qin Feng for completing the I'm a Superstar side quest. According to the system's introduction, Demon Sound Howl was a secret demonic cultivation technique. It was similar to the Lion's Roar technique. Once the Demon Sound Howl was released, low-level martial artists' consciousness would be disrupted, and they would lose their ability to fight. When ordinary people heard the demonic roar, and their consciousness was disturbed, they would release their instincts and do what they most wanted to do in the depths of their hearts. In the banquet hall of the hotel, Rao Man and the other women hadn't left the banquet yet. A series of strange noises drifted into their ears. The women's expressions gradually became absent-minded, and their originally bright and clear beautiful eyes became abnormally empty. Ha ha ha. That's right, I, Ao Shawan, am Hong Kong's #1 big sister. Who doesn't like it? I'm going to fight him to the death with my machete. Ao Shawan suddenly picked up a chair beside her and rushed to the private room where Chairman Gu and the others were seated. Rao Man looked as if she was sleepwalking. She slowly stood up and sang her favorite song. Because of you. Zhang Kuka seemed to have gone mad. She jumped onto the dining table, grabbed the chicken drumstick and steak on the plate, and started wolfing them down. Ma Xinshin suddenly ran in circles in the empty private room. As she ran, she gritted her teeth and said, I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. A series of smashing and screams came from the private room next door. Ao Shawan swung the chair and violently beat Chairman Gu. After Chairman Gu heard the demonic roar, he even took off his pants. He grabbed 2 beautiful staff members of the director team and was about to have sex with them. In the end, he was chased around the room by Ao Shawan and was so scared that Chairman Gu's pants were wet. In the lobby on the first floor of the hotel, a group of beautiful receptionists were all lying on the ground. They received hundreds of guests every day, and their faces were stiff from all the smiling. After releasing their instincts, they just wanted to sleep. A group of security guards chased the lobby manager and beat him up. Usually, these security guards were scolded by the manager. Now it was time for them to release their instincts and release their resentment. Above the 10th floor was the guest room area. Every floor's corridors were filled with undulating screams. These guests were originally here to book a room and fight. At this moment, all of them were wild and more ferocious than Beast Shui Air's room. Shui Air was also affected by the demonic roar. Her eyes began to blur, and her reaction after releasing her instincts was beyond Qin Feng's expectation. Snow huddled in the corner of the wall, looking extremely helpless and afraid. Her beautiful face was furrowed into a frown and her large eyes blinked frantically. I have something in my head. I am so scared. I don't want a system. I'm scared. I just want to be an ordinary person. Shui Air's body was trembling, and so was her voice. This was the first time she admitted that she had a system. However, Shui Air and Qin Feng were different. Qin Feng was excited to have a system, but Shui Air was worried and afraid. She didn't want to have a system. She was just an ordinary little girl. Qin Feng's roar gradually subsided. Looking at the trembling Shui Air in the shadows, the fragile side of Qin Feng's heart was suddenly awakened. Shui Air had no grudge against him. This was all an arrangement of fate. 2 people with systems bumped into each other, and they had no choice but to kill each other. The demonic roar stopped. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Rao Man and the other women in the private room suddenly came to their senses. Everyone was startled and looked at their own actions blankly. They almost couldn't recognize themselves. Ao Xiaowan's chair smashed into Chairman Gu's head. Chairman Gu rolled on the floor in pain. The memory of what happened just now had disappeared. Chairman Gu had just woken up when Ao Xiaowan threw a chair at him. He wanted nothing more than to tear Ao Xiaowan into pieces. What's wrong with this woman? The people in the private room were stunned. Those who didn't close the door quickly closed it. A dozen couples in the corridor hastily pulled up their pants and ran to their rooms. A few unfamiliar couples had already started fighting. Some of the women even called the police. Qin Feng didn't know that his demonic roar had caused such a series of crazy effects. He was a little absent-minded. Looking at the pitiful Shui Air, Qin Feng couldn't bear to kill her. Little pig, do I have to kill Shui Er to devour her superstar system? No, master. Killing the owner of the system is the most inferior way to devour the system. But it's also the simplest and most violent way. If Shui Er is killed and master wants to devour the ultimate superstar system, you'll need the system unsealing tool to unseal it, and make the superstar system acknowledge master as its host. Apart from that, you can also make Shui Er voluntarily submit to master, and let master devour her system. Little Pig explained a lot of things. Qin Feng sorted them out. To put it simply, there were two ways to devour the system. One was to kill it by force, and the other was to make it submit to him. Bang! A loud sound rang out, startling Qin Feng. When he looked at the corner of the room, Shui Er had already disappeared. The floor-to-ceiling window beside him was smashed. They were on the 13th floor, and Shui Er had jumped down from the 13th floor. Qin Feng hurriedly rushed to the window. Although it was the 13th floor, and it was night time, Qin Feng could see clearly with his night vision goggles. A pile of glass shards fell to the ground. There was no blood, and Shui Er was nowhere to be seen. This woman actually escaped. Little Pig, locate Shui Er for me. Qin Feng's eyes were ablaze with fire. He regretted not killing Shui Er earlier. Master, it'll cost you 200,000 hedonist points, Little Pig said. Qin Feng only had 13,200 hedonist points. He was shocked by the cost of locating Shui Er. Why is it so expensive? Master, as the owner of the sovereign star system, Shui Er must have spent a lot of hedonist points to conceal herself. Therefore, if you want to locate her, you'll need to spend a lot of hedonist points to break the concealment formation on her body. Little Pig explained. Qin Feng looked at the boundless night sky and punched the frame of the floor-to-ceiling window. The huge frame of the floor-to-ceiling window collapsed with a loud bang, creating a huge pit on the ground. Master, you're too soft-hearted, Ouyang Feng sighed. Shimen Shui shook his head and said nothing. These two heroes were existences who killed without batting an eyelid. They felt that their master was too kind. You can't say that. The main point is that Shui Er is a beauty. Master, you'd cut him into pieces. Little Pig's words hit the nail on the head. Shimen Shui and Ouyang Feng nodded in realization. The corner of Qin Feng's mouth twitched. He was rendered speechless by Little Pig's words. Not long after, dozens of police cars were parked in front of the International Hotel. The alternating red and blue lights dazzled everyone's eyes. Rao Man and the girls ran to Shui Er's room and knocked on the door. Are you alright, Zheng Shui? I think something strange happened just now. After Qin Feng's demonic roar disappeared, everyone regained their senses. The first thing the four girls did was to look for Qin Feng. Zhang Kuku ran around the room like a giant mouse the moment she entered the room. Then, she ran to the living room and yelled, "Shit shit! Zheng Shui has raped and killed Shui Er. He even dismembered her body and flushed it down the toilet." The girls rolled their eyes. They were completely speechless. This woman must have watched too many horror movies. Qin Feng knocked Zhang Kuku's head and said sternly, "Shui Er suddenly left due to an urgent matter. I don't think she'll be back." Since Qin Feng had discovered Shui Er's identity as the system, he believed that Shui Er would hide from him in the future. Naturally, she would not come back. Rao Man and the girls nodded doubtfully. Zhang Kuku ran to the empty floor-to-ceiling window and looked at the empty floor beneath her feet. She was so frightened that she started to scream. "Ah shit! Shit!" Shui Er refused to submit to Zheng Shui, so Zheng Shui pushed Shui Er down the stairs. Chapter 925. Shui Er really left. She never showed up again. At that time, Zhang Kuku suspected that Qin Feng was up to no good, so Shui Er jumped down from the 13th floor. However, Rao Man and the other two girls didn't believe her. Qin Feng had so many beauties around him that he wouldn't do something so stupid, right? However, Shui Er never returned. It was as if she had suddenly disappeared. Rao Man and the other two girls started to believe her. If Qin Feng didn't act like a beast that night, would Shui Er be so scared that she wouldn't show up again? Shui or had even cancelled her contract with Hedonist Sovereign. Many things that happened that night were reported on the Hong Kong TV news, and all of them were related to Qin Feng. Due to the weather change caused by the demonic roar, the weather station issued an emergency typhoon warning. However, there wasn't even a drizzle that night, causing the people of Hong Kong to complain about the weather station for the whole night. Some reporters specifically interviewed the International Hotel. According to them, at 8:39 that night, a supernatural incident happened in the International Hotel. All the guests and staff in the building forgot what happened in the next 10 minutes. According to the dozens of interviewees, everyone seemed to be possessed by ghosts during the last 10 minutes. They couldn't remember what they did. However, when they woke up, they were shocked by what they did. When the reporter continued to ask everyone what they had done at the time, everyone unanimously remained silent. Other than the weather and supernatural news, there was also the news about the Hong Kong police. According to the surveillance video, at 8:52, someone jumped down from the 13th floor, room 1303. However, the woman suddenly disappeared. She didn't fall to her death, but she was nowhere to be found. The few pieces of news linked together made the people of Hong Kong fearful and in awe. The International Hotel suddenly became a forbidden place in the hearts of the people of Hong Kong. Apart from Qin Feng and the others who stayed there, no other guests dared to stay there. The filming of Hedonist Sovereign in Hong Kong was completed. The group of people rushed to America early in the morning. When they left, Qin Feng felt a little guilty. He felt that he had wronged the International Hotel. At the airport of America, Qin Feng and the others got off the plane. It was also the first time the beauties had come to America. They looked left and right and chattered like happy little birds. The main production team of Hong Kong's House of Millions Media came along. The pretty girls group came. Ma Xinxin, as Qin Feng's top manager, was naturally there. Ao Shaowan insisted on coming along, and no one dared to stop her. Mr. Gu did not come. He had suffered enough in Hong Kong. He was afraid that if he came to the United States, he would be angered to death by Zhang Kuku and Ao Shaowan. Welcome to America. Two golden-haired men in suits and leather shoes walked over to Qin Feng, and the others with 4 female assistants, who had a strong local accent. Hello. We're actors from House of Millions Media from Hong Kong. We're going to shoot a movie in America for half a month. Please take care of us in the future. Rao Sherman took the initiative to talk to them. Her English was very fluent. Hello, beauty. I've received a call from Mr. Gu. We're here to receive you. One of the men with gold-rimmed glasses spoke in Chinese. Although his Chinese was a little clumsy, everyone could understand him. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that the man could speak Chinese. Otherwise, it would be tiring to communicate in English and have to translate. Hello. My name is Rao Sherman. This is my group member Zhang Kuku. That's the superstar Zheng Shuai, her manager, Ma Xinxin, and the superstar Ao Shaowan. Rao Sherman took the initiative to introduce everyone. However, Rao Sherman paused when she introduced Ao Shaowan. She did not know how to introduce Ao Shaowan. The man with the gold-rimmed glasses smiled and said, Hello everyone. Welcome to America. I'm Henry, the production director of Can Film Group. And this is the most capable director in our company, Tom. Tom, who stood beside Henry, grinned and revealed his yellow teeth. It seemed like he smoked a lot. Please get in the car. We'll show you around the company. After the introductions were over, Qin Feng and the women boarded a commercial vehicle, while the staff of Hong Kong's Media of Millions boarded another van. Henry and Tom were at the back of the group. Both of them were elegant and gentlemanly, but now, they had a wretched smile on their faces as they stared at the buttocks of Rao Sherman and the other beauties. Director Tom, these Chinese chicks are very hot. Henry, who wore the gold-rimmed glasses, rubbed his chin and smirked. They're not only hot, they're the best. I've been a director for more than 10 years, and I've worked with hundreds of Chinese female stars. I can count the number of people who can compare to these 4 chicks with one hand. Tom's eyes were glowing as he spoke. Hee, then we're in luck this time. I like the chick in the white cheongsam. Her name is Sherman, I think. And her teammate, She has a childish face and huge breasts. I'm excited just by looking at them. Henry had already chosen his targets. Tom grinned and said, "All right, you can have those too. I'm interested in the other two. Look at that chick named Xion. Her butt is so big. I'm sure the sound she makes when she's having sex is very rhythmic. That chick one has an air of arrogance about her. Haha, we'll have a lot of fun tonight." The two of them looked at each other and laughed. Their eyes were filled with wickedness. Tom and Henry only cared about the four beauties. They did not mention Qin Feng at all, because they thought nothing of him. After the women boarded the BMW, Henry and Tom boarded the other BMW. The motorcade slowly drove toward America's Can Film and Television Group. Wow. Sure man, look. That's Jason Statham. He's filming on the street. The beauties in Qin Feng's car screamed incessantly. Through the car window, Zhang Kuku saw a movie being filmed on the street. The main character was her favorite hunk Statham. She was so excited that she climbed onto Qin Feng's lap and wiggled her buttocks excitedly. Those European-style buildings are so beautiful. I like them. Ma Xinxin clapped her hands happily as she watched the flying castles. Ao Shaowan preferred the people who were rapping and dancing on the street. Rao Sherman was relatively quiet. She stared blankly at the unfamiliar city. Qin Feng's eardrums were about to burst because of Zhang Kuku's screams. He picked her up and threw her to the side. Zhang Kuku pouted and yelled unhappily, "Hey, why did you throw me away? I can't even see my Statham. You broke my thigh." Qin Feng was also very displeased. Rao Sherman and the other two girls stopped looking out of the car window. 6 pairs of eyes were fixed on Qin Feng's crotch. "Is my thigh going to break? Will it be okay there? This is related to everyone's sexual happiness in the future." "Ahem. Don't worry. The important part is fine." Qin Feng saw through the women's thoughts and hastily clarified himself. Pervert. Shameless." The 3 women rolled their eyes at Qin Feng. They would never admit their true thoughts, even if they were beaten to death. Qin Feng didn't feel bored at all since he was accompanied by beautiful women in the car. After a while, the car stopped in front of a magnificent palace. The women got out of the car. Zhang Kuku and Ao Shaowan were running around. Their screams could be heard everywhere. Rao Sherman and Ma Xinxin were taking pictures of each other. "Wow! Is this the office of Can Film Group? It's as gorgeous as the White House." Zhang Kuku ran to Qin Feng's side and jumped around with her arms around him. She even insisted on riding on Qin Feng's neck to take pictures. However, Qin Feng rejected her flatly. The other 2 cars arrived one after another. The staff of Hong Kong's Media of Millions, Henry and Tom, got out of the car. "Ladies, welcome to the office of Can Film Group. Let's go in and have a look." The director of production, Henry, walked to the women. He spoke elegantly and behaved like a gentleman. It was impossible to tell that he and Tom were playing dirty tricks behind their backs. The group followed Henry and Tom into the palace-like office building. The interior was decorated in European and American style. The intricate plaster lines and the splendid wall decorations were a few grades higher than the building of Hong Kong's Media of Millions. "Dear friends from afar, allow me to introduce Can Film Group to you." Henry and Tom led the way. The 4 female assistants who were supposed to receive them at the airport had already gone to work. Rao Sherman and Zhang Kuku were Chinese superstars. They had been in China's entertainment industry for a long time and had been to a few famous film and television companies in China. However, the development of China's film and television industry was not as developed as America's. It was evident from the culture of Can Film Group. Can Film Group was huge. Even after walking around for a whole morning, they still couldn't see the whole building. Qin Feng and the group even met a few Hollywood superstars in the company. Some of them were male stars that Zhang Kuku liked very much. Zhang Kuku asked them to take pictures with her, and even asked them to pose with her in some weird and idiotic poses. She almost drove the Hollywood superstars crazy. "Ladies, it's getting late. Our company has booked a hotel for you. I'll bring you to the hotel now. I'll invite all of you to have dinner tonight. I hope all 4 of you can come." After they were done with the company, Henry and Tom brought everyone to the hotel. The hotel was only 1 kilometer away from Can Film Group. It only took a few minutes to get there. Chapter 926. Sure man, this hotel is so nice. It's specially designed to serve us. Aren't you afraid of being intercepted by fans and paparazzi? Zhang Kuku danced with joy after learning about the nature of the celebrity hotel. Do you think this is China? Who knows you? Don't worry. There won't be any paparazzi or fans chasing after you. Rao Sherman thought Zhang Kuku was too active, and it was necessary to extinguish her fire from time to time. Sherman, you're talking nonsense. Kuku is famous all over the world. I have many fans even in America. Zhang Kuku was instantly displeased. Her cute and coquettish look made Henry unable to walk. Sherman, Beauty Kuku, do you need me to carry your luggage to your room? Henry and Tom had already arranged their tasks. Henry would target the pretty girl group, while Tom would target Ma Xinxin and Ao Shawan. Director Henry, don't bother. Our luggage isn't heavy. We can carry it ourselves. Henry was rejected, so he couldn't force the two girls to carry their luggage. Originally, Tom wanted to use Henry's method to woo Ma Xinxin and Ao Shawan, but it seemed like it wouldn't work. Hee, Tom and I won't send you guys off. Go to your room, and we'll come back in the evening. The party will be held in this hotel. Henry and Tom bade farewell to everyone and left the hotel. From the beginning to the end, they took care of the four beauties, but didn't say a word to Qin Feng. The staff of Hong Kong's Media of Millions lived in ordinary rooms, while Qin Feng and the others lived in the luxurious suite on the top floor. Qin Feng had revealed his identity to the pretty girl group and Ao Shawan in Hong Kong, so he didn't have any scruples when he came to America this time. Therefore, he stayed in the same suite with Ma Xinxin and Ao Shawan. Qin Feng and the pretty girl group's suite faced each other. They greeted each other and returned to their rooms. There are only 2 rooms in this suite. Ma Xinxin discovered the problem as soon as she entered the room. How could they live in 2 rooms? When Ao Shawan learned there were only 2 rooms, he rushed up and held Qin Feng's arm. He glared at Ma Xinxin and said, "That's easy. I'll share a room with Qin Feng, and you'll have another room. I'll take care of you." Ma Xinxin had always been at odds with Ao Shawan. She also rushed up and held Qin Feng's other arm. "Why are you sleeping with Qin Feng? I'll even take care of you. You can sleep on a big bed by yourself." Ao Shawan was so angry that his nose became crooked. You dare to disobey me? Do you know who I am? In Hong Kong, no one dares to offend me, Ao Shawan. Ao Shawan's big sister's temper flared up. That arrogant momentum was really not something that an ordinary person could fake. But Ma Xinxin was not afraid of Ao Shawan, because she was completely confident that she could kick this damn girl away. Humph. What's wrong with big sister? Others might be afraid of you, but I'm not. Besides, this is America, not Hong Kong. Ao Shawan was stunned. She had just arrived in the United States and hadn't adapted yet. Yes, this was not Hong Kong. No, so what if it's not Hong Kong? If you dare to disobey me, as long as you return to the country, I can kill you in minutes. Come on, don't talk about returning to the country. If you make me unhappy, I can trample you to death now. The 2 women quarreled, one fiercer than the other, which stunned Qin Feng. Ahem. Why do you have to quarrel over these trivial things? Isn't it simple to have 2 rooms? I'll sleep in one room, and you 2 sleep in the other. Qin Feng was afraid that the 2 women would really fight if they quarreled again, so he quickly came out to mediate. The 2 women tilted their heads and snorted coldly at the same time. Humph. I don't want to sleep with that woman. Qin Feng thought about it, and felt that it was not good to let the 2 women sleep together. Either Ao Shawan killed Ma Xinxin in the middle of the night while she was asleep, or Ma Xinxin kicked Ao Shawan to death in anger. Then you 2 sleep in the same room with me, okay? Qin Feng said seriously. That's more like it. After the 2 women agreed, their expressions suddenly changed. They felt that something was wrong. Go to hell, you pervert. Because of the problem of sleeping, Ao Shawan and Ma Xinxin quarreled for the whole afternoon. Qin Feng's head was swollen because of the 2 women. Fortunately, Rao Sherman and Zhang Kuku came to Qin Feng's room to play. Zhang Kuku took the initiative to invite Ao Shaoan to sleep in her room. Then, Rao Sherman slept with Big Sis Ling, while Qin Feng and Ma Xinxin slept in their own room. Finally, the problem of sleeping was solved. Qin Feng heaved a long sigh of relief. He had known Zhang Kuku for a long time, but this was the first time this girl helped him with something serious. The four women surrounded Qin Feng's room and played until night fell. Due to the time difference between America and China, it was nighttime in America while it was daytime in China. The four women were a little sleepy at this time. However, they hadn't eaten anything since they got off the plane. They were hungry and couldn't sleep. Suddenly, the doorbell of Qin Feng's room rang. He opened the door and saw Harry and Tom. They stood at the door and watched Qin Feng lying on the sofa like a paralyzed Guyu. Rao Sherman peeled grapes and fed him. Zhang Kuku and Ao Shaoan each pinched one of Qin Feng's legs. The scene stunned Harry and Tom. Are all Chinese beauties like this? Or are all Chinese men as ugly as Zheng Shuai? Director Harry, Director Tom, you're here. Ma Xinxin beckoned them into the room. Tom's target was Ma Xinxin and Ao Shaoan. He especially liked Ma Xinxin's big buttocks. He glanced at Ma Xinxin's buttocks and said with a smile, "Haha, sorry to keep you ladies waiting. We're here to take you to the party tonight." The four women were starving. When they saw it was time to eat, they hastily got up and went out. Under Harry and Tom's lead, they arrived at the banquet hall on the third floor. They had booked the entire place. 2 rows of dining cars lined the hall were filled with all kinds of delicious food and wine. Most of the food was Western cuisine, and the drinks were mainly red wine, champagne, and whiskey. Superstar Zheng Shuai, you're here. The staff of Hong Kong's House of Millions Media had arrived. When they saw Zheng Shuai, Rao Sherman, and the girls, they came up to greet them. In fact, during the 10 days of filming in Hong Kong, these staff had built a good relationship with Qin Feng and the girls. Especially after Qin Feng and the girls turned this youth idol drama into a brainless comedy, they laughed until they cried during the filming every day. That kind of cheerful feeling made them friends easily. Qin Feng and the beauties didn't put on airs like celebrities. They greeted everyone like they were good friends. After greeting each other, the atmosphere of the party started to liven up. There was elegant music playing in the banquet hall, and a few couples were dancing the waltz. Superstar Sherman, although I'm in America, the fame of you and Kiki has traveled across the ocean and reached my ears. I admire the beauty of you Asians very much. You're gentle, elegant, and very charming. Harry tried to get close to Rao Sherman. The reason he learned Chinese was to chase after Chinese girls. Seeing that Harry and his men had made their move, Tom also ran to Ma Xinxin and Ao Shaoan. Miss Ao, you're the woman with the most character I've ever seen. Your carefree nature deeply attracts me. May I have a dance with you, Miss Ao? Tom and Henry had dressed up meticulously tonight. Each of them was wearing an expensive custom-made suit, elegant leather shoes, and had even sprayed perfume on their bodies. Coupled with their handsome appearance and gentlemanly demeanor, the few Chinese female celebrities who had come earlier had basically fallen for them. However, Tom found the wrong person. He actually wanted to chase after Ao Shaoan? Fuck. What are you babbling about? I don't understand. Although Tom could speak Chinese, his level was not good. Ao Shaoan was also impatient, so he didn't have the patience to listen to Tom carefully. He directly waved his hand, as if he was shooing away a fly. What? Miss Ao, what did you say? Ao Shaoan spoke quickly. Tom was dumbfounded. Although Tom didn't understand what Ao Shaoan was saying, from her tone and attitude, it seemed to be cursing. How could this woman curse for no reason? Fuck. Are you deaf? I told you not to talk to me. Can you not talk to me? Ao Shaoan's beautiful eyes widened, and Tom was so scared that he took 2 steps back. Tom pricked up his ears and almost became a cat. But he still didn't understand what Ao Shaoan was saying. You talk and I talk. Tom's mind was full of the word talk, but he didn't know what to say. Hee. Miss Xinxin, can I invite you to dance? Seeing that Ao Shaoan's communication was blocked, Tom reacted very quickly. He turned around and began to chat with Ma Xinxin. Because Tom and Harry had pretended to be polite in front of the 4 beauties, and the 4 women came to shoot this time to ask the Can Film Group of the United States for help. Ma Xin didn't want to make their relationship awkward. Director Tom, I'm really sorry, but I don't know how to dance. Ma Xin smiled and politely refused Tom. Seeing that Ma Xin's temper and patience were much better, Tom was very happy. That's not a problem. I can teach you. Tom felt that Ma Xin had a chance, so he stretched out his hand to hug Ma Xin's slender waist. Ma Xin was startled. She thought that these foreign men were really more open. How could they fight with just a few words? They were just like Qin Feng. Ma Xin was a little unhappy, but for the sake of her face, she could only smile and take a step back. Hee. Director Tom, I really don't know how to dance. You'd better find someone else. Ma Xin covered her mouth and giggled. This was just an apologetic way of refusing, but Tom didn't think so. He was a little elated. He thought that Ma Xin was shy, and this woman obviously liked him. Miss Xin, don't be shy. I'll teach you how to dance the waltz. It's very easy. Tom took another big step forward and reached out to hug Ma Xin again. Ma Xin was really angry this time and pushed Tom casually. However, Ma Xin was not the Ma Xin of the past. She had learned to use inner qi, but she was not proficient in controlling it. Ouch. Chapter 927. Ouch. That was a terrible cry, enough to make one's heart ache to hear it. Everyone stopped talking, and the couples who were dancing also stopped. Everyone's eyes were focused on Tom. Isn't he the director of Can Film Group? Why is he lying on the ground? Oh, Americans love hip-hop. Director Tom is going to do a hip-hop dance. Clap, clap, clap. There was a round of enthusiastic applause. Everyone was looking forward to Tom making a big windmill. That would be so cool. However, after a while, Tom didn't dance at all. He seemed to be in pain and depressed. Director Tom, are you okay? Henry was flirting with Rao Sherman. When he saw Tom lying on the ground, he stopped flirting and hurried over to help Tom up. Tom gritted his teeth in pain. He felt as though his bones were about to fall apart. Tom regretted his decision. He felt that he had chosen the wrong target. One was arrogant like a big sister, while the other was born with godly strength. All these Chinese celebrities seem to be freaks. Director Tom, are you okay? The floor is too slippery. Otherwise, you wouldn't have fallen. Ma Xin was taken aback. She didn't expect that she would push Tom so hard that he would fall to the ground. However, Ma Xin would never admit that she was the one who overthrew Tom. She was afraid that Can Film Group would cancel the collaboration before the shooting of the American film started. Tom suffered a loss. His excuse of slipping and falling was a good one. Otherwise, he would be embarrassed enough if everyone knew he was overthrown by a woman. Haha, I am fine. Thank you for your concern, Miss Xin. The floor is really slippery. Director Henry, can you help me to a corner to rest? I'll be fine after some rest. Tom was in so much pain that he couldn't walk. He couldn't flirt with girls anymore. All he wanted now was to go to a corner to rest. After helping Tom to a quiet corner, Henry hurried back. He still wanted to flirt with girls. Miss Sherman, something happened to my friend just now. I'm so sorry. May I have a dance with you? Henry kept pestering Rao Sherman. At first, Rao Sherman politely rejected him. But now, she didn't waste time and ran to Qin Feng. Zheng Shuai, would you like to dance with me? Sure. Qin Feng had long since discovered that Harry and Tom were up to no good. At this moment, he hugged Rao Sherman's slender waist and glared at Harry complacently. Harry almost vomited in disgust when he saw Rao Sherman taking the initiative to dance with Qin Feng. There was definitely something wrong with this Chinese beauty's taste. Hee. Miss Kiki, how are you adjusting to your new life in America? Just let me know if you need anything. After Rao Sherman left, Henry started to pester Zhang Kuku. Zhang Kuku stood in front of the row of dining cars with a watermelon in each hand. She nibbled on the watermelon and looked at Henry like an innocent bystander. Are you sure that you can just ask if you need anything? Of course. It's my honor to be of service to Beauty Coco. Henry's words and actions were filled with gentlemanly air. Okay. Hurry up and get someone to move these 2 rows of dining carts to my room. Don't let anyone else eat. Zhang Kuku clapped her hands excitedly, causing the watermelon in her hand to drop onto Henry's leather shoes. In order to have a successful date tonight, Henry purposely put on his most expensive pair of branded leather shoes. He was reluctant to wear this pair of shoes during normal times, so he put them on after polishing them until they were shiny. However, the watermelon water and a few watermelon seeds stuck to them. Henry was so angry that his nose became crooked. When Henry recalled Zhang Kuku's idiotic request, he rolled his eyes and ignored Zhang Kuku. He bent down to wipe his shoes with a handkerchief, but the watermelon water was sticky. The more he wiped, the dirtier the shoes became. Henry was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. Ah, you pervert. You peeped under Keek's skirt. Henry had only bent down for a short, while when someone stepped on his head, the stomp caused him to lose his balance, causing him to fall on the watermelon skin. He slid for a few meters before he came to a stop. There were many people dancing around him, so no one noticed Henry. Everyone was startled when they felt something soft when they stepped on him. Ah, Director Henry, what are you doing? A scream came from the crowd, and they finally saw Henry lying on the ground. There were a lot of footprints on Henry's handsome black suit. These footprints were understandable. After all, those who had stepped on Henry's body knew it. However, there was a small footprint on Henry's head, which was puzzling. How much hatred did this person have for Henry? Director Henry, are you all right? Several representatives from Can Film and Television came to attend the party. They quickly gathered around Henry. Qin Feng and the representatives from Hong Kong's House of Millions Media also gathered around Henry. Everyone started to wonder, what's wrong with Americans? Why do they like to lie on the ground? You woman! Why did you step on my head? Although Henry wanted to flirt with Zhang Kuku, being stepped on by Zhang Kuku infuriated him. He roared at Zhang Kuku after being helped up by his American colleagues. Zhang Kuku realized that she had made a mistake. She ran to Qin Feng, hugged his arm and cried, sob sob. Big brother Zheng Shuai, that four-eyed guy is a pervert. He squatted down and peeped under Keek's skirt. Whoosh! As soon as Zhang Kuku's words fell, the crowd burst into exclamations. Everyone present here was a man of high social status. It was fine for him to flirt with a girl and peep at her. But how could he do such a despicable thing in front of everyone? Qin Feng was enraged. Without saying a word, he slapped Henry's face. The loud and clear slap silenced the noisy banquet hall. The Can Film and Television employees' jaws dropped to the ground. They had worked with many Chinese celebrities in the past, and the other Chinese celebrities in the United States had to humble themselves in order to curry favor with them. However, this group of Chinese celebrities was too arrogant and dared to slap Henry without any regard for the consequences. Fuck! How dare you slap me? You're courting death. Henry was enraged by the slap. He roared at Qin Feng fiercely. Qin Feng had a calm expression on his face as he coldly said, "So what if I hit you? How dare you peep under my friend's skirt? Not only did I slap you, but I'll also call the police to arrest you. Don't think that we're afraid of you just because we're in the United States. We won't tolerate such despicable things." Qin Feng's words were filled with righteous indignation. The power of his emotions was extremely strong, and it instantly infuriated the staff of Hong Kong's Media of Millions. Brother Zheng Shuai, I'm going to post a Weibo post to denounce Henry and ask the Chinese netizens to support us. I'm acquainted with the Chinese embassy in the United States. I'm asking them for help. Do you think the Chinese are pushovers? Our 1.3 billion compatriots are not for sex. I want to speak to the CEO of Can Film and Television. Is this the quality of your employees? The team members who came with Qin Feng and the others all took out their phones and glared at Henry and the others like tigers watching their prey. The Can Film and Television employees felt a little guilty. After all, it was Director Henry's fault. Why did you peep under someone's skirt at a party? You should have done it in private when no one was around. Henry felt guilty, or rather he was dumbfounded. Since when did I peep under that woman's skirt? I'm clearly cleaning my shoes, okay? However, Henry knew it was useless to say anything now. There was a Chinese proverb that said, You can't wash yourself clean even if you fall into the Yellow River. Hey, don't accuse me wrongly. How can I, Henry, peep under a woman's skirt? I was cleaning her shoes just now. Don't spout nonsense. Henry knew it was useless to explain himself, but he had no other choice but to defend himself. Cleaning shoes? That means you've admitted to peeping under a woman's skirt, said Qin Feng. The Chinese people nodded their heads. It seemed like they had used the excuse of cleaning shoes to peep under a woman's skirt. Henry rolled his eyes and almost fainted from anger. I didn't peep. Don't call me. Let's forget about it. Before, Harry had looked as if he wouldn't stop until he killed Qin Feng. Now he immediately shriveled up. Zhang Kuku, who was standing behind Qin Feng, wanted to laugh but couldn't. Her neck was red from holding back her laughter. Qin Feng said with a straight face, You think you can forget about it? You've peeped under my colleague's skirt. You should apologize to her. Henry was so angry that his vision darkened. He was the victim, so why did he have to apologize to her? I said let's forget about it. Don't push your luck. Henry glared at Qin Feng angrily, as if he was ready to shed all pretense of cordiality. Before Qin Feng could speak, the people from Hong Kong's House of Millions media were unhappy. Why are you so fierce? It seems like we have to call the police. My acquaintance from the Wuxia embassy in the US is my cousin. Henry was depressed, but he still took the initiative to admit his mistake. Miss Cuckoo, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to peep under your skirt. I was cleaning my shoes and accidentally saw it. I hope you can forgive me. I won't accept it. As soon as Harry apologized, Zhang Cuckoo pouted her lips and rejected him. Henry felt dizzy, and he could faint at any time. The farce finally came to an end. The film and television employees carried Henry to Tom's side to rest. Henry and Tom looked at each other, and an indescribable sadness flashed across their eyes. Henry and Tom had stopped their bickering, but the party was finally heating up. Zhang Cuckoo, who was holding back her laughter, laughed so hard that her intestines almost fell out. Qin Feng became the most sought-after man of the night. Rao Sherman and the other three beauties fought to dance with Qin Feng. In the end, the four of them agreed that each of them would dance with Qin Feng for 15 minutes before the next person would dance with them. It was a pretty good agreement, but Qin Feng wanted to ask them if they had thought about his feelings. Did they really think that he was not tired just because he was good in bed? Chapter 928. It was said that loneliness was a one-man party. However, Henry and Tom did not agree with this saying. Loneliness was a two-man party. Henry and Tom could not bear the sight of the paired men and women in the banqueting hall dancing to the slow, pleasant music. Based on what? How could that ugly Chinese man, Zheng Shuai, flirt with four girls all by himself? Do you think you're a big shot? Let's have a match if you have the guts. Tom and Henry were extremely depressed. They were here to flirt with girls, not to be the third wheel. Director Henry, that man named Zheng Shuai is very annoying. Should we teach him a lesson? Tom couldn't stand it anymore. He gritted his teeth and said to Henry. Henry hated Qin Feng even more than Tom. He was slapped by Qin Feng, and half of his face was still swollen. Of course we can't let that arrogant, ugly and lowly bastard get away with it. But let's not do anything tonight. After all, I just had a small conflict with him. If he gets beaten up, I'll be the one to blame. We have more important things to do tonight. Henry had regained his senses. He knew what was important and what wasn't. Tom's eyes glowed green when he said that. However, the green light soon disappeared. Sigh. Those four Chinese girls are circling around Zheng Shuai. They don't seem to be interested in us. This matter made Tom and Henry extremely depressed. What exactly did the four women like about Zheng Shuai? Since normal methods won't work, let's play some tricks. Henry looked at Tom with a smile. Tom immediately smiled knowingly. Director Henry, do you have medicine with you? It wasn't the first time Tom and Henry had flirted with superstars. They knew very well what kind of people they were. Henry looked around to make sure no one was paying attention to him. Then, he took out a bottle of medicine surreptitiously and said, This is a new product sent by a Thai friend 2 days ago. It's called Super Black Widow. It's said that if a sow eats one, It will squeal for the whole night. Henry didn't need to explain further. Tom understood everything. What would happen if he gave one to each of the 4 beauties? Haha, that's good. Tonight, I'm going to ravage that hot girl. Let's see if he still dares to talk to me so fast in the future. Tom glanced at Ao Shawan in the crowd, and his eyes flashed with a hint of a smirk. Henry glared at Zhang Kuku and said through gritted teeth, "How dare you step on my head? I'll press your head and play with it for the whole night." With the Super Black Widow in hand, Tom and Henry regained their confidence. The two of them continued to discuss tonight's strategy. When they were almost done, they pushed a dining cart with 7 wine glasses and walked towards Qin Feng. Haha, friends who have come from afar. There has been a small misunderstanding earlier. Please forgive us. Tom and I have specially come to propose a toast to you, hoping to resolve the conflict. Harry pushed the cart to everyone's side. Qin Feng and Ma Xinxin had just stopped dancing. Seeing Director Henry and Director Tom propose a toast in person, the girls couldn't refuse. After all, they still needed the cooperation of Can Film Group for the next few days. Hee, Director Henry, you're being too serious. Although your peeping is worse than a beast, you're brave enough to admit your mistake and correct it. That's a very good quality. Henry rolled his eyes at Qin Feng's words. How am I worse than a beast? I was wronged by Zhang Kuku. Although he was displeased, this was not the time to be calculative. He said in a gentlemanly manner, Mr. Zheng Shuai is right. I'll pay attention to my manners, and won't do such bad things again. Since that's the case, let's have a toast. Qin Feng's suspicions were aroused as Henry kept talking about drinking. Before everyone could reach for the wine glasses on the dining cart, Qin Feng suddenly screamed, "Ah, Kuku, your underwear fell off." Henry and Tom stopped holding the wine glasses and looked at Zhang Kuku's ankle impatiently. Ma Xinxin and the girls were also frightened. How could Zhang Kuku's underwear fall off? Did she buy too much? No one saw Zhang Kuku's underwear falling to her ankles, but they saw her shocking action. Zhang Kuku bent down, pulled up the bottom of her cheongsam, and peeked into her thighs. She took a second look to make sure she was right, before she stood up angrily. Stupid Zheng Shuai, you're talking nonsense. My underwear didn't fall at all. Qin Feng was used to Zhang Kuku's chinibi behavior, so he did not find it strange at all. While everyone was focused on Zhang Kuku's ankle, Qin Feng had already exchanged the 2 wine glasses on the dining cart, with the 2 glasses in front of Henry and Tom. Everyone came back to their senses. The women stared at Qin Feng strangely. They didn't know why he was making such a low-level joke in front of everyone. Tom and Henry hurriedly averted their gazes, afraid that the women would discover them peeping at Qin Feng. Then they glanced at Qin Feng contemptuously and muttered, "Childish." Hee. I'm sorry, Kiki, I was mistaken. Qin Feng patted Zhang Kuku's head and comforted her. Then he looked at everyone and said, Since Director Henry and Director Tom are here to propose a toast, let's have a toast. Qin Feng raised his wine glass, and the women followed suit. They were here because of Qin Feng's order. Zhang Kuku pouted and looked unhappy. It was hard to tell if she was angry at Qin Feng or Harry. If she was angry at Henry, he would have exploded in anger. After all, he was the victim here. Henry and Tom were extremely excited when they saw the 4 women raising their wine glasses. The 2 of them drugged Qin Feng, and the 4 women's wine glasses. As for drugging Qin Feng as well, they thought that after the drug took effect, Qin Feng would find a woman to cure himself. That way, Qin Feng wouldn't be a hindrance to the 2 of them. Everyone raised their wine glasses and emptied their wine glasses. Henry and Tom put down their glasses. Seeing that the glasses of the 4 beauties were already empty, they were so excited that they almost cried out. According to the manual of Super Black Widow, the effect of this drug was extremely strong, and the effect of the drug was also very fast. It was estimated that the 4 beauties would be affected in 15 minutes. Hee. Since everyone has drunk this glass of wine, let's not talk about what happened before. We are still good friends. Henry chuckled and said some polite words to avoid exposing the identity of the drugged women. After that, Henry and Tom returned to the corner and sat down. Both of them sat in the corner, and stared at the women they liked. Occasionally, they would communicate with each other. Director Tom, do you have any more videos on your phone? Send me some of them. I'll play them tonight to liven things up. Henry smiled vulgarly. Tom's smile became even more vulgar. As a director, Tom had a lot of videos. Moreover, these videos were not the kind that could be downloaded from the internet. They were all videos taken by the celebrities that Tom had slept with before. Tom took out his phone and fiddled with it for a while. Then he gave Henry a knowing smile and said, "Okay." Henry hastily accepted the video and realized that it had 12 gigabytes of memory. Henry was dumbfounded. After the four women finished their drinks, they began to dance with Qin Feng. Although Qin Feng appeared to be engrossed in the waltz with the beauties, he was secretly observing Tom and Henry. When he saw the two of them whispering to each other in the corner and smiling vulgarly from time to time, Qin Feng was even more certain that they had drugged the wine. Since they had drugged the wine, Rauscher Man, the other three women, and even his glass of wine must have been drugged. Qin Feng only swapped 2 glasses of wine for them. In other words, among the 5 of them, 3 of them had drunk the wine that was drugged. Qin Feng was dancing with Zhang Keke. Occasionally, he would glance at Rauscher Man and the other 2 women. He mainly wanted to observe their reactions. After all, Qin Feng had no idea what drug Henry and Tom had drugged them. "Hey, how can you do this? You're always distracted when you dance with me. You even peek at Sherman and the other women. You're pissing me off." Zhang Keke soon realized that Qin Feng was not paying attention when he was dancing. She was so angry that she bumped her chest against Qin Feng. Qin Feng felt that he was almost bounced off. "Ah, why am I not paying attention? Didn't I touch your butt while we danced? I'm very serious." Although Qin Feng was serious, his eyes were still peeking at Rauscher Man and the other 2 women. Zhang Keke was really angry. She felt that among the 4 women, Qin Feng was the one who cared the least about her. He even purposely avoided her. Zhang Keke couldn't figure out why. All right. You're not paying attention. I don't want to dance with you anymore." Zhang Keke pushed Qin Feng away and stormed toward the washroom in a huff. Qin Feng paid no attention to her and sat beside the 3 women. "Huh? Why did Keke leave?" Rauscher Man asked. "She said she had to go to the washroom." Qin Feng casually made up an excuse. "Ah, that's great. Big brother Zheng Shuai, let's go dance." Ao Shaoan hastily pulled Qin Feng. She couldn't let go of such an opportunity. Ma Xinxin was instantly displeased. She glared at Ao Shaoan and yelled, "Hey, don't you know the rules? Even if Zhang Keke doesn't dance, Sherman will be next. Why are you snatching her?" "Snatching her is my business." Sherman didn't say anything. "Why are you making a fuss, big butt?" Ao Shaoan and Ma Xinxin quarreled with each other after exchanging a few words. Qin Feng and Rauscher Man were used to it. Ma Xinxin's eyeballs almost popped out when she was called a big butt. You yellow-haired little girl. What did you call me? Big butt. Is there something wrong with your head?" Ma Xinxin was furious. Chapter 929. Why you called me a yellow afro? Why your eyes grew on your butt? When did I dye my hair yellow? When did I have an afro? What does afro mean? This is the first time I've heard of this word. Ao Shaoan rolled his eyes. When he said this, he was obviously a little unconfident. After learning that Zheng Shuai was Qin Feng, Ao Shaoan's yellow afro was gone the next day. Now he had a head of long black hair that fell over his shoulders. From time to time, he would tie his hair into 2 ponytails, which scared Qin Feng and the beauties. "Pretend. Keep pretending. You're a non-mainstream afro." Ma Xinxin pursed her lips and deliberately angered Ao Shaoan. "Why you have a big butt?" Ma Xinxin stamped her feet angrily. She felt the ground shake. "So what if I have a big butt? Women with big butts can have sons. Can you? If you want to have a son, then have one." "It has nothing to do with me," Ao Shaoan retorted. "Of course it has nothing to do with you. It has something to do with Zheng Shuai. He said he likes sons." Ma Xinxin stared at Ao Shaoan triumphantly. Rauscher Man suddenly looked at Qin Feng and stared at his face with a strange look. Qin Feng was embarrassed. Every time the women quarreled, Qin Feng would be the innocent victim. Qin Feng simply ignored Ao Shaowan and Ma Xinxin. As long as they didn't tear each other's hair and fight, it would be fine. Little pig, is there a universal antidote in the system? Qin Feng was concerned about the serious matter. Rao Man, the women, and himself were probably poisoned. He had to detoxify the poison first. Master, you don't have to buy an antidote. You can detoxify the poison directly with your inner qi. You can also detoxify the other women. As for Ma Xinxin, Master doesn't need to care about her. She has the body of all poisons. No poison or medicine will work on her. After listening to Little Pig's advice, Qin Feng had already started to circulate his inner qi to detoxify himself. The detoxification process was very simple. He only needed to let the inner qi circulate once in his body. The poison and waste in his body would also circulate. Then he could go to the toilet and detoxify himself. Sure man, give me your hand. Qin Feng took care of his body in a few minutes, and then looked at Rao Man beside him. Rao Man was slightly stunned, then her pretty face began to blush. But she didn't refuse Qin Feng. She didn't even ask the reason, and directly gave him her hand. Qin Feng held Rao Man's small hand. It was smooth and soft to the touch. Waves of inner qi entered Rao Man's body. Rao Man wasn't prepared at all. She suddenly let out a coquettish cry, which tickled Qin Feng's heart. After Rao Man, Qin found that Ma Xinxin and Ao Shaowan were still. In the beginning, the two of them were arguing about a big butt and a non-mainstream yellow-haired girl. Now they were arguing about the explosion of the universe and the Milky Way galaxy war. Qin Fen didn't know how they got so far away. Xiao said. I said. Xiao Xiao. Qin Xiao. You. Xiao. Zheng Shuai. Why are you touching her hand? I also want to be touched. Ma Xinxin stared at Qin Feng angrily. She was a little unhappy. You don't need to touch. You're fine. Ma Xinxin had the body of 1,000 poisons, so Qin Feng didn't need to give her inner qi. But Ma Xinxin didn't understand Qin Feng's intention. She immediately complained. What do you mean I don't need to touch? I want to be touched. Ma Xinxin pouted and began to act coquettishly. Qin Feng couldn't take his eyes off her charming appearance. Okay, I'll touch you. Sit down. Ma Xinxin and Ao Shaowan sat on Qin Fen's left and right. Qin Fen held each of their hands and began to circulate qi to the two women. Ao Shaowan was an ordinary person. When she felt the cold inner qi enter her body, she had the same reaction as Rao Man. She couldn't help but pout coquettishly. Ma Xinxin was already a stage 4 inner martial artist, so she had inner qi in her body. When she saw Qin Feng touching her hand just to channel inner qi, she was confused. Okay, sit here obediently. I'm going to the washroom. After dealing with Rao Man and the other two women, Qin Feng went to find Zhang Kuku. He hadn't done that girl yet. Director Henry, quick look, that annoying Zheng Shuai has left. Tom shouted excitedly from the corner. Harry also noticed that Qin Feng had left. The two of them sat in the corner and observed Qin Feng's every move. That brat seems to have gone to the washroom, Henry said. Who cares where he went? It's time for us to start. It's been 10 minutes. Tom looked at the three beauties sitting in the crowd with an impatient look. The Super Black Widow will be effective in 15 minutes. Let's wait for 2 more minutes. Don't let 1 or 2 minutes spoil the whole thing. Harry had a steadier temperament, so the two of them kept staring at the three women, paying close attention to the three beauties' every move. Qin Feng arrived at the door of the men's washroom. Before he entered, he was suddenly pulled into the women's washroom. Qin Feng instinctively wanted to fight back. His hand fell on the woman's head, but he stopped abruptly. Kuku, are you crazy? Let go of me. Qin Feng glared at Zhang Kuku angrily. Is this woman still mad at me? Is she trying to get back at me by dragging me into the women's washroom? Big brother Qin Feng, hug Kuku. Zhang Kuku raised her head slightly. The light in her beautiful eyes dimmed. She opened her mouth slightly and licked her lips with her pink tongue. She looked extremely alluring. Don't try to trick me. I won't fall for it. Seeing Zhang Kuku's lustful expression, Qin Feng was 100% sure that this woman was trying to set him up. This was the women's washroom. If a woman came in, she would kick him out like a pervert. No, no, no. I want a hug and a kiss. Zhang Kuku refused to let go of Qin Feng. She even used all her strength to pull Qin Feng into the washroom cubicle. Qin Feng had to hand it to Zhang Kuku. When this woman acted like an idiot, even Qin Feng was afraid of her. Tat tat tat. Suddenly, the crisp sound of high heels came from outside the washroom. Qin Feng was startled. He quickly pulled open the cubicle door and pushed Zhang Kuku into it. Kuku, don't shout. Otherwise I'll fall out with you. Qin Feng could already guess what Zhang Kuku would do next. However, to his surprise, Zhang Kuku did not seem to be trying to trick him. She opened her mouth and stuck out her tongue. She kept rubbing her face against Qin Feng's face, as if she wanted to kiss him. Qin Feng's face darkened. He pressed Zhang Kuku's head with one hand to prevent her face from coming closer. Zhang Kuku seemed to be in pain. She started to whimper, "Kiss me. Quick, kiss me." Qin Feng hastily covered Zhang Kuku's mouth with his hand. He was afraid that the woman who just entered the washroom would find out what she was doing. Zhang Kuku couldn't speak anymore. She started to squirm in Qin Feng's arms, but she couldn't break free from Qin Feng's grip. Qin Feng heaved a sigh of relief when he felt Zhang Kuku in his arms gradually calming down. The woman outside had left the washroom. Qin Feng looked at Zhang Kuku and was so shocked that he almost fell to the ground. "Kuku, what are you doing?" Zhang Kuku was wearing a black cheongsam. Her skirt was pulled up to her waist. Qin Feng was sure that Zhang Kuku's underwear was still on her body. I want. Zhang Kuku's words were unclear, and her eyes were lifeless. Qin Feng could tell that Zhang Kuku had been drugged. Had she drunk the wine? Judging from Zhang Kuku's condition, Henry and Tom must have drugged her. Qin Feng didn't know whether he should thank Henry and Tom, or Henry and Tom. Zhang Kuku took the initiative to grab Qin Feng's hand and pressed it against her chest. She felt as if she was speaking to her conscience. "Kuku, stop it. I'll force the drug out of your body, okay?" Although Zhang Kuku's body was soft and smooth, Qin Feng dared not to do anything to her. Who knew what kind of earth-shattering things this silly girl would do when she regained consciousness? Ugh, I can't take it anymore. Hurry up. Zhang Kuku's words were uttered subconsciously. Her face was filled with resentment, and she began to nudge Qin Feng with her body. Qin Feng was tormented by Zhang Kuku's long legs. Suddenly, Zhang Kuku stood on the toilet bowl and sat on the lid of the cistern. She wrapped her legs around Qin Feng's waist and mumbled, "I'm not taking off my underwear. It's so troublesome." Qin Feng was dumbfounded. He did not move and allowed Zhang Kuku to unbuckle his belt. "Director Henry, they're moving. The three girls are moving," Tom yelled excitedly. Even his choice of words was a little shocking. "It seems like they're going to the washroom. Haha, this is a good opportunity. I love to have sex in the washroom." Henry was also excited. Both of them quickly got up and headed to the washroom. When they arrived at the washroom, they bumped into Rao Sherman and the other two girls. "Hee hee, three beauties come to the washroom. Haha, what a coincidence. We're also here to use the washroom." Henry and Tom greeted the three girls. Henry purposely looked at his watch. It had been 15 minutes since the three girls started drinking. This was the time when the drug of the Super Black Widow was at its strongest. Could it be that the three girls were suffering and wanted to relieve themselves in the washroom? Rao Sherman and the other two girls stopped at the washroom's entrance. They looked at Henry and Tom with a strange gaze. Are these two sick? Why the hell are they greeting me at the washroom's entrance? Okay, let's go in. Rao Sherman was the most sensible one. Although she was a little unhappy, she still gave a simple reply to Henry and Tom. Hee hee, since it's such a coincidence, why don't we go together? Chapter 930. Rao Sherman and the other two women were stunned. They even suspected that there was something wrong with their ears. Otherwise, how could Director Henry say such shameless and vulgar words? Hey, what did you just say? You want to go to the bathroom with us? Ao Shawan was a hot-tempered woman. She dared to say anything when Qin Fen was not around. She had the personality of a non-mainstream delinquent. Ao Xiaowan's tone was obviously questioning. Perhaps Henry, as an American, couldn't tell, but he thought Ao Xiaowan was asking for his opinion. Henry was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. He rubbed his hands and said with a smile, "Of course, let's go to the bathroom together. Director Tom and I can also help you three beauties with your physical needs." Rao Sherman and the other two women were stunned for a few seconds. They really couldn't react. The three beauties had a pretty good impression of Henry and Tom. Both of them were elegant and courteous. Even though they invited everyone to dance tonight, this was a very common etiquette in the West, so Rao Sherman and the other two ladies didn't think too much about it. But now Henry actually said such explicit words. Was this person drunk? "Director Henry, what nonsense are you talking about? Why would we mess around with you in the bathroom?" Rao Sherman was so angry that her face turned red and her voice trembled. "Three beauties, do you think the bathroom is too small and unhygienic? It doesn't matter. I've already booked a presidential suite with Director Tom. We can do it separately or together." Henry's brain was full of sperm. He thought according to his own ideas and didn't understand the real meaning of Rao Sherman's words. Tom couldn't wait any longer. Seeing Henry chatting with the beauties for a long time, he was a little impatient. He directly reached out and wanted to hug Ao Xiaowan. This hot and arrogant little beauty was Tom's favorite. "You motherfucker. How dare you molest me? I'll make you a eunuch." Ao Xiaowan wasn't someone to be trifled with. Although she wasn't as strong as Ma Xinxin, she was more decisive and hot-tempered than Ma Xinxin. Without waiting for Tom's hand to touch his body, Ao Xiaowan kicked Tom so hard that he screamed in pain. "Fuck. Broken. My balls are broken." Tom covered his crotch and howled. Henry still couldn't react. Didn't these women drink Super Black Widow's wine? Why is there no reaction at all? Could it be that Asian women's orgasms were too low and needed a few more pills? Henry couldn't understand it at all. He didn't have to think anymore, because Ma Xinxin kicked him in the stomach. "You two bastards, you want to pick up the three of us? Dream on." These women, who were as obedient as cats in front of Qin Feng, became fiercer and fiercer when they were assaulted by other perverts. After being kicked, Henry curled into a ball and smashed into the sink behind him like a cannonball. Rumble! The ceramic sink immediately shattered. Henry maintained his position as a shrimp, half of his body sinking into the sink. How could you attack? We didn't do anything." Tom screamed for a while and finally managed to squeeze out a sentence. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Ao Xiaowan kicked him again. This girl must have practiced splits when she was a child. Her kick landed on Tom's head and knocked him to the ground. Henry and Tom groaned in pain on the ground. Half a minute ago, they were still fantasizing about the wonderful things they would do tonight. Now their dreams were shattered, and many of their bones were broken. The fighting outside was so intense that Qin Feng, who was in the women's washroom, could hear it clearly. Hearing Ma Xinxin and Ao Xiaowan's curses, Qin Feng broke out in a cold sweat. If the three women found out what happened between him and Zhang Kuku, he would be kicked out of the washroom window. "Big brother Zheng Shuai, come on. Be more aggressive." The drug in Zhang Kuku's body had completely taken effect. There was nothing in her world except for a few white clouds. She felt like she was flying in the sky. Zhang Kuku's screams were so loud that Qin Feng hurriedly kissed her. This temporarily suppressed Zhang Kuku's screams. "You two shameless bastards. If you dare to hit on me again, I'll teach you a lesson." Ao Xiaowan was still not satisfied after kicking them, so he started to scold them. Kuku said that Henry peeped under her skirt. "I thought it was just a joke. I didn't expect it to be true this time. You two are really beasts in human clothing." Rao Sherman, who was usually gentle and elegant, was enraged. She glared at the two men and turned around to enter the washroom. Ma Xinxin and Ao Xiaowan cursed a few more times before following them into the women's washroom. They suddenly felt the need to use the toilet. They thought they had drunk too much tonight. Dong dong dong. The three women were startled when they entered the women's washroom. Loud noises came from one of the cubicles at the entrance of the women's washroom. The wooden cubicles made loud banging noises. The three women's faces turned red. Even an idiot would know what was going on inside. Hey, do you have any sense of civility? Did you do it in the washroom? Get the fuck out of here. This is the fucking women's washroom. Ao Shawan was the most hot-tempered among the three women. The noises inside suddenly stopped. Qin Feng was speechless. These three women really came to the washroom. After a short pause, the banging noises started again. Qin Feng was extremely depressed. This time he really didn't move. It was Zhang Kuku who had gone crazy. She wished she could melt into his body. Io, are you unwilling to accept it? How dare you compete with me? I'd like to see what you're up to. Get the fuck out of here. Ao Shawan rushed to the washroom and started kicking the door. Qin Feng was so scared that his heart almost jumped out. After a few kicks, Rao Sherman hastily grabbed Ao Shawan and said, Shawan, don't mess around. The people inside are uncultured and have no self-control. They're just like animals. We don't need to lower ourselves to their level. I can't hold it anymore. I'm going to take care of myself. Ma Xinxin's expression turned ugly. She hastily ran to the innermost washroom. Rao Sherman and Ao Shawan also needed to go to the toilet. However, the two women were disgusted by the fact that someone was doing it inside. However, Ao Shawan had already kicked the door, but the woman refused to come out. The noises inside were getting louder and louder. Ao Shawan and Rao Sherman were at their wits' end. After a while, the two women could only brace themselves and go to the washroom. Since the three women were in the washroom, the noises were even clearer. The banging of the door was rhythmic. The three women had no experience in this aspect, so they were a little excited when they heard the noise. Moreover, the woman's mouth seemed to be blocked. She could only make muffled sounds. However, it was this kind of oppressive sound that made the three women's hearts beat faster. Soon, the three women ran out of the washroom. They couldn't bear to stay there any longer. Their faces were red with embarrassment. Bang! A loud noise resounded. Qin Feng found that the washroom's wooden door fell to the ground. It was destroyed by the fierce battle between him and Zhang Kuku. Both of them were still hugging each other, but there was nothing they could hide from each other. Fortunately, there was no one in the washroom. Qin Feng quickly carried Zhang Kuku to the ground. Zhang Kuku's hazy eyes gradually brightened. She screamed in fear when she saw Qin Feng. Ah, UUWH, what did we do? Zhang Kuku's mind was muddled by the effects of the drug. Now that the drug was released, Zhang Kuku regained her consciousness. However, she was stunned the moment she woke up. She had been chastising herself for 20 years, but it was all gone. Kuku, don't scream. I'll explain it to you. Qin Feng hastily covered Zhang Kuku's mouth after the three women left. Zhang Kuku nodded dumbly. Her big eyes were fixed on Qin Feng's thighs. Her eyes were filled with astonishment. Qin Feng hastily put on his clothes and tidied up Zhang Kuku's cheongsam. Then, he pulled the silly woman out of the washroom. Big brother Qin Feng, did you rape me just now? Zhang Kuku opened her mouth. Qin Feng almost fell to the ground. I am not that kind of person. When Qin Feng pulled Zhang Kuku out of the washroom, he saw Henry and Tom lying at the entrance of the men's washroom. Qin Feng had no time to entertain these two idiots. He pulled Zhang Kuku to a secluded corner and sat down. Didn't you? Then I'm going to the hospital for a checkup. I don't think I have it anymore. Zhang Kuku's face was still red. She pouted and acted like a spoiled child. Qin Feng almost pushed her again. Kuku, it's better if you don't go to the hospital for a checkup. The truth is, you drank the drugged wine, and your animal instincts kicked in and you pushed me down. Qin Feng pretended to be the victim. Although Zhang Kuku was a chinibyu, she was not stupid. On the contrary, Zhang Kuku was the smartest among the four beauties. Otherwise, Qin Feng would not have fallen into her trap so many times. Zhang Kuku calmed down and pondered. She believed Qin Feng's words. Qin Feng had many chances to push Zhang Kuku down. So why did he choose to do it tonight? Why did he choose to do it in the washroom? This was all very illogical behavior. Big brother Qin Feng, I'm sorry. Please don't tell Sherman about this. Zhang Kuku suddenly grabbed Qin Feng's hand and begged him after she figured out the truth. Qin Feng was dumbfounded. Ah, don't tell Sherman? Qin Feng asked instinctively. Of course I can't tell her. Just promise Coco. At most, Coco will do her best to satisfy you whenever you want it. Zhang Coco looked at Qin Feng earnestly. Qin Feng was still in a daze. He wanted to beg Zhang Coco not to tell Sherman and the others about this. Qin Feng had made up his mind. In order to seal Zhang Coco's mouth, he would fulfill whatever Zhang Coco asked for. He would even give her 100 fireball talismans. Chapter 931. Qin Feng didn't understand Zhang Coco's behavior, because he didn't understand her mind. Zhang Coco had already made up her mind. She would let Rao Sherman look for a boyfriend, and share a boyfriend with Rao Sherman. When Zhang Coco found out that Zheng Shuai was Qin Feng in Hong Kong, she was certain that Qin Feng was Rao Sherman's boyfriend, which meant that he was her boyfriend. Therefore, Zhang Coco had no scruples in front of Qin Feng. Let Qin Feng do whatever he wants. Let him have his way. However, Zhang Coco was the mistress, and Rao Sherman was the mistress. Rao Sherman hadn't even slept with Qin Feng, but Zhang Coco had accidentally pushed Qin Feng. How was he going to face his good sister Rao Sherman in the future? You're not going to tell Rao Sherman? Why didn't you tell Ma Xinxin and Ao Shaoan? Qin Feng still found it hard to accept Zhang Coco's behavior. He was even worried that Zhang Coco would come up with another vicious move to take revenge on him. Zhang Coco shook her head like a rattle drum. She said seriously, "Big brother Qin Feng, you must listen to Coco. You can't say a word even if you're beaten to death." This was what Qin Feng hoped to see the most. However, when such a good thing really happened, Qin Feng couldn't accept it. Why won't you tell me? Qin Feng wanted to probe further. Suddenly, Zhang Coco sat on the sofa beside Qin Feng. She hugged Qin Feng's arm tightly and said coquettishly, "Big brother Qin Feng, I just don't want to tell you." "But, big brother Qin Feng, did you have fun just now? Why don't we do it again in the corridor? Lie down and I'll satisfy you." Zhang Coco deliberately changed the topic and tempted him with her beauty. Cough cough. No need. Then, I'll kiss you now. Sneaking around is the most exciting thing, Zhang Coco said as she placed her face on Qin Feng's thigh. Qin Feng was so scared that he almost had a heart attack. Was there something wrong with this woman? Was he suffering from masochism or post-trunk schizophrenia? Coco, it's fine if you don't want me to tell you, but you have to tell me the reason. Qin Feng patted Zhang Coco's shoulder and made her sit beside him. Zhang Coco looked at Qin Feng awkwardly and said in an aggrieved tone, Sure man likes you too. She was the one who met you first, but I was the one who did it with you first. If Sherman finds out about this, she'll be very sad." Zhang Coco was so anxious that she cried. Qin Feng had known Zhang Coco for a long time, but this was the first time he saw her so serious about something. Qin Feng could tell that Zhang Coco cared a lot about Rao Sherman's feelings. No wonder Rao Sherman had always been protective of Zhang Coco. No matter what Zhang Coco did, or how offensive she was, Rao Sherman would always be the first to stand up for her. Feng would. Qin Co Air's relationship with. However, they were not sisters. They Li and Ko for Qin Li, Hia Li and Air. And Aa for a Ku a Yin Feng a Feng Aa Air a Tian Ming Aa Li. However, Qin Feng was overjoyed. He didn't expect that he would get hold of Zhang Coco's weakness by accident. What a great weakness. Yes, Kiki really knows her mistake this time. Big brother Qin Feng, just wait and see Kiki's performance in the future. When you need Kiki, even if it's in the middle of the night, Kiki will strip naked to find you. Qin Feng was slightly embarrassed by Zhang Coco's straightforwardness. Cough cough. That's not all I'm talking about. You're not allowed to fool around with other men in the future. Understand? Qin Feng was worried about Zhang Coco when he thought about her late stage of acting like an idiot. Don't worry about that. Coco isn't a fickle woman. I'll only feed big brother Qin Feng. If another man dares to touch me, I'll call big brother Qin Feng to take care of him. Zhang Coco pouted mischievously. Every single expression on her face could be captured and made into a sticker pack. Zhang Coco was an adorable and lively woman. Qin Feng doted on Zhang Coco even more after he had sex with Zhang Coco. With this clown around, Qin Feng would die of laughter.
All right, I won't tell them about your mistake for the time being. Don't worry, just be a good girl and listen to me from now on. Qin Feng patted Zhang Keka's head. Zhang Keka nodded obediently. Qin Feng liked this little girl more and more. He pulled her to the dining car and said, "You must be exhausted. Let's go eat something to replenish your energy." Zhang Keka's eyes lit up the moment she arrived at the dining car. Her hands were grabbing different delicacies while her eyes were glued to the other food. She looked like a reincarnated hungry ghost. Qin Feng wanted to laugh. "Big brother Qin Feng, you must be tired too. You should eat more." Zhang Keka had changed. She used to annoy Qin Feng for no reason, but now, she acted cute and fed Qin Feng food. Qin Feng purposely sucked on Zhang Keka's finger while eating the cake. Zhang Keka felt as if she was electrocuted. She looked at Qin Feng shyly, and took another piece of cake to feed Qin Feng. "Keka Zhengshui, where have you been?" Rao Sherman and the other two girls suddenly walked toward them. They had not seen them since they went to the washroom. Zhang Keka, who had always been as bold as a tiger, was frightened like a frightened rabbit when she saw Rao Sherman. Zhang Keka went to Qin Feng's side and secretly pulled the corner of Qin Feng's shirt. She raised her head and looked at Qin Feng with a pitiful expression. Qin Feng patted Zhang Keka's head lovingly. He smiled at the three girls and said, "I went to the washroom just now and heard you guys fighting outside. I wanted to come out and help, but all of you were gone by the time I came out. As for Keka, I don't know where she went. She just came to look for me." Qin Feng's ability to fabricate lies had reached the acme of perfection. Therefore, the three girls did not suspect anything. If he told Rao Sherman and the other two girls that Qin Feng and Zhang Keka were the ones who had banged in the women's washroom, the three girls would be in disbelief. "I get angry every time I talk about those two bastards. How dare they try to hit on me? I'll crush their balls with my foot." Ao Xiaowan's temper flared up again when she mentioned Henry and Tom. Qin Feng couldn't bear to listen to her anymore, so he hastily coughed. Ao Xiaowan suddenly froze. Her originally cold face and arrogant aura suddenly dissipated. She trotted into Qin Feng's arms and hit Qin Feng's chest sweetly. "Darling, you're so handsome tonight." Rao Sherman and Ma Xinxin rolled their eyes. They were speechless. Zhang Keka alone was enough for the two girls. Now there was Ao Xiaowan. Zhang Keka seems to be very quiet tonight. There must be something fishy going on. Qin Feng chatted with the four girls as they ate. The atmosphere was very warm and sweet. Later, Henry and Tom walked back, supporting each other. When everyone saw that the two of them seemed to have just returned from the battlefield, they were all stunned. "Director Henry, Director Tom, are you all right?" Several staff members from Can Film Group hurried to help the two of them. Even they couldn't figure out what the two directors and director had done tonight. The two of them happened to walk past Rao Sherman and the other two girls. When they saw the three girls chatting and joking with Zheng Shui and ignoring them, Henry and Tom were so angry that their noses became crooked. "And nothing. I went to the washroom with Director Tom and accidentally fell." Although Henry was angry, he didn't dare to tell them the truth. Otherwise, it would be too embarrassing. Sighs could be heard from the surroundings. Everyone doubted Harry's words. Henry and Tom had skated several times tonight, and only the two of them had skated. No one else had skated. Besides, the ground was not slippery at all. Could it be that Henry and Tom were wearing the skateboarding shoes that Grandma had given them? Moreover, even if they had slipped, they shouldn't have fallen to this extent, right? Henry and Tom also felt everyone's strange gazes. The two of them were too embarrassed to stay. Not only did they fail to pick up girls tonight, but they were also trampled on by several girls. Just thinking about it made them feel pain in the balls. However, they really felt pain in the balls. "What? Director Tom, why did you touch my chest?" Henry was about to leave so that he wouldn't make a fool of himself here. However, before he could leave, Tom suddenly put his hand into Henry's suit and groped his chest. Henry was so disgusted that he quickly pushed Tom. Tom staggered and almost fell. When he steadied himself again, his eyes became a little blurred. Suddenly, he pounced on several long-legged girls in the crowd. "Ah!" A burst of exclamations came from the crowd.
Most of them were women's screams. This Tom's behavior was really too shameless. He wanted to molest women in the hall in public? Was there something wrong with his brain? Hee hee. Beauties, big-breasted beauties don't run. Big brother is very big. Let big brother hug you. The drug in Tom's body took effect. In fact, it should have taken effect a long time ago. However, after being beaten up by Ao Shaowan and Ma Xinshin, Tom and Henry lost control of their emotions. The drug also delayed some time. Fuck. These two American men are really perverts. That Henry in front peeped at Coco's skirt. This beast is even more shameless. What he said disgusted me. The staff from Hong Kong's Media of Millions couldn't stand it anymore. Some of them wanted to rush up and beat Tom up. However, before they could do so, Henry suddenly transformed. Hee. There are so many sexy girls here. They are all mine tonight. Everyone line up, and let me take off your clothes one by one. Chapter 932. Everyone in the party was dumbfounded. They had never seen anyone as showy as Henry and Tom. Director Henry, wake up. You can't do this. Director Tom, that madam is the CEO's lover. You can't hug her. The employees of Can Film and Television dropped their jaws to the floor. Some of them came back to their senses and tried to stop Henry and Tom. However, Henry and Tom seemed to be possessed. They beat up anyone who tried to stop them. Crazy. Director Henry and Director Tom are crazy. Let's go. We shouldn't get involved in this mess. Half of the employees of Can Film and Television ran away. They couldn't afford to offend Henry and Tom, and they were too ashamed to show their faces. The noisy and crowded party was emptied in an instant. Most of the women in the party had run away. Only Qin Feng and the four beauties were left. Henry and Tom looked at each other and started kissing each other. Then, they hugged each other and kissed each other. The two of them kissed wildly while touching each other's body. That scene was so unbearable to the eyes that Rao Sherman and the other three girls almost vomited when they saw it. Mr. Zheng, let's go back. Sister Ling couldn't stand it anymore. She came to ask for Qin Feng's opinion. Sister Ling could tell that Sherman and Kiki listened to Zheng Shuai's words. American men really know how to play. I don't even dare to try this. Qin Feng chuckled as he glanced at Henry and Tom. Then he led the crowd away. Qin Feng walked at the front with the four women surrounding him. A dozen employees of Hong Kong's House of Millions Media followed him. They spat on the floor and cursed when they left. After leaving the banquet hall, everyone returned to their rooms. Qin Feng and Ma Xinshin stayed in the same suite. Ma Xinshin danced for a long time tonight and was clearly tired. Once she returned to the suite, she went straight to her room to rest. Qin Feng lay on the sofa and didn't disturb Ma Xinshin. He looked at the bustling yet unfamiliar night outside the window. Suddenly, he remembered the women in China. They must be missing him. One woman's face after another flashed through Qin Feng's mind. Suddenly, Han Ying's face appeared in his mind. Qin Feng felt a stab of pain in his heart. After going to Jincheng City to see Father Han, he had been looking for Han Ying, but he couldn't find her. The amount of hedonist points required to locate her was simply too shocking. Master, the divination stone's divination function hasn't been used yet. Little Pig suddenly said. Qin Feng abruptly sat up straight. Of course, he knew what Little Pig meant. With a slight thought, Qin Feng took out the sky-occupying spirit stone from the emerald spirit ring. Divine Han Ying's situation. With a thought from Qin Feng, the originally dim sky-occupying spirit stone suddenly radiated white light in all directions. The air around the stone also changed, and circles of strange energy waves flowed around it. Buzz! A ball of light and shadow appeared, and a series of images appeared on it. It seemed to be a department store. The items inside were all written in English. A tall woman stood in front of the cashier. She wore a uniform, black stockings, and her wavy hair was tied behind her head. Her face was exquisite and charming, and she could easily attract a man's gaze. However, Qin Feng saw a trace of haggardness on her face. The arrogance of a queen was nowhere to be seen, and her eyes lost their former brilliance and sharpness. They were somewhat hollow, and it was the look of a person who had lost all hope and pursuits. Buzz! The image ended there. With a flash of white light, the sky-occupying spirit stone suddenly became dim again. Qin Feng's heart was a bit heavy. He never thought that the proud and unruly Queen Han Ying, who once shook the Yun province's business circle, would become like this. Qin Feng knew very well that Han Ying's change was all because of him. This wasn't the real Han Ying. She shouldn't have lived such a simple life. Qin Feng wanted to find her and return what he owed her. Qin Feng put the sky-occupying spirit stone away, then took out his phone and browsed Weibo. Qin Feng was not very familiar with the United States. The image that appeared on the sky-occupying spirit stone just now might be in the United States, because the words on the shelf were all written in English, and there was the United States flag hanging on the ceiling. Qin Feng carefully recalled the image that he saw just now. He did not want to miss any detail. Then, he expressed the image in words and posted it on his Weibo. Qin Feng's identity as Zheng Shuai had 15 million followers. He wanted to use these powerful Zheng Shuai fans to help him find the shop that appeared on the sky-occupying spirit stone. Qin Feng wanted to know the country, the specific city, the specific street, and the location of the shop. Buzz! Qin Feng's phone vibrated as soon as he posted the Weibo post. It was a WeChat message from Zhang Kuku. Big brother Qin Feng, I'm outside. Is Xin asleep? I'm here to serve you. Qin Feng was so shocked that he almost threw his phone away when he saw the message. Is Zhang Kuku really going to be obedient to me? It was the dead of the night, and it was the perfect time to be intimate. Big brother Qin Feng, is Xin asleep? Qin Feng opened the door quietly. Zhang Kuku, who was wearing a red coat and a pair of cotton slippers, ran into the room. Kuku, why are you here? Qin Feng feigned ignorance. Big brother Qin Feng, let's go to your room first. I'll be in big trouble if Xin finds out. Zhang Kuku, who was usually carefree, was as timid as a mouse at this moment. Qin Feng did not make things difficult for Zhang Kuku. He pulled her into his room. Swoosh! As soon as they entered the room, Qin Feng saw Zhang Kuku unzipping her red coat. It was completely empty inside. Big brother Qin Feng, come quickly. I still need to sneak back home. Zhang Kuku was lying on the bed with her arms and legs spread out. She stared at Qin Feng with her big watery eyes. The corner of Qin Feng's mouth twitched violently. This Zhang Kuku is really something. The filming of Hedonist Sovereign had officially begun in the United States. Early in the morning, Qin Feng accompanied the beauties to the bustling Chinatown after having breakfast. More than half of the Chinese who worked hard in the United States gathered in Chinatown. They were all Chinese. Walking on the bustling street, Qin Feng and the others felt a sense of familiarity with this place. The staff from Hong Kong's House of Millions Media were already in position and ready to start filming. A few people from Americans Can Film Group had also arrived. However, Henry and Tom did not come. They were beaten up and went crazy last night. It was estimated that they would need to stay in the hospital for a few days before they could recover. Kuku, why are you so listless? Did you steal a man last night? When the show was about to start, Rao Sherman noticed Zhang Kuku was yawning, so she joked with her. Zhang Kuku could barely open her eyes. When she heard Rao Sherman's words, she was so shocked that she jumped. I didn't steal a man. Sherman, don't accuse Kuku. Rao Sherman was startled by Zhang Kuku's reaction. I was just joking. Why are you so agitated? Don't tell me you really went to steal a man. Zhang Kuku's face turned pale. This girl was usually fearless, but she was very worried about this matter. Qin Feng felt sorry for Zhang Kuku when he saw her scared out of her wits. He walked up to her and said with a smile, Kuku must have stayed up all night to play games. This girl has become a gaming maniac. Zhang Kuku nodded hastily. Yes. Kuku played with the tablet last night, but she couldn't defeat the big boss. Kuku was so mad. Rao Sherman did not think much of it. She glared at Zhang Kuku and said, You know that you have to film today, but you still played games. You better put away your tablet tonight. Zhang Kuku stole a glance at Qin Feng and gave him a grateful look. Qin Feng walked up to her and patted her head. Then he patted Rao Sherman's head. Rao Sherman blushed. Due to Cher's absence, Ma Xinxin took over Cher's role. When they were filming in Hong Kong, Ao Shawan was forcefully transformed from a passerby to a female lead. Ma Xinxin wanted to forcefully give herself the identity of a female lead. Now that her dream had come true, Ma Xinxin was overjoyed. The scenes in the United States were also extremely melodramatic. Qin Feng and the female leads were separated for a period of time. Then they came to the United States at the same time and met each other on the streets of the United States. The female leads believed that it was fate, and from then on, they followed Qin Feng for the rest of their lives. The shooting had already begun. When the staff of Can Film Group saw Qin Feng and the others' performance, every one of them was dumbfounded. Is this China's blockbuster movie? This should be a documentary about animal world, right? The staff of Can Film Group had their horizons broadened. They were the top staff in the international film and television industry, but it was their first time witnessing such a unique filming style. At first, they thought it was lousy, but gradually they found it interesting. In the end, they realized that it was a unique style. An ordinary director would not be able to produce such a scene even if he wanted to. Since Qin Feng and the others had come all the way to the United States to film, Qin Feng acted with an extremely serious attitude. Qin Feng felt that his acting skills were absolutely not bad. In fact, he was even better than those who were trained in acting. In addition, it was the first time for Rao Sherman and the others to act, so their acting skills were very lacking. Qin Feng felt that he was shouldering a heavy responsibility. The box office of this movie was completely reflected by his acting skills. Qin Feng walked in the bustling Chinatown, and several cameras shot him from all angles. The autumn wind rustled Qin Feng's long hair. Although the surroundings were lively and bustling, Qin Feng looked up at the sky at a 45-degree angle and slowly walked forward. His eyes were gloomy with a touch of disappointment. Every movement and expression of his vividly reflected the strange and lonely feeling of being in a foreign land. A trace of sadness was brought into the hearts of the cameramen, and the staff of Can Film Group also became serious. Qin Feng's acting skills were not just for show. Even though he did not speak, everyone could feel his emotions. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.